If you've ever been extremely excited about the official launch of Escape from Tarkov, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. And y'all are in for a treat. Y'all are in for a treat. This is my favorite market week of the year. It's obviously truncated because of the holiday. The market is closed on Thursday, and we have a half day on Black Friday. But aside from that, we have one of the best holidays in the world coming up. Friends, family, football, and food. You get all of the F's in there. And we should have a pretty light week here with the market. We should expect lower volumes. We should expect some craziness. And back in the day, this used to get called Turkey Crack Week. So there's a lot of crazy stuff that can happen, and we're going to be here to take advantage of all of that. The news is a little bit light over the weekend going into today. And I'll be honest with you, after the past couple of weeks, I'll take that. I will take that. We do have a guest today. So we're going to get to our friend Ed Iglinski from Direction. He does a great job coming on here and telling us where there are flows. We had him right before the football season started. We're going to check in with him today ahead of the holiday season. So we got some great content for you. We should have a fun market to trade. It's a Victory Monday, so you know we are all excited. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook for Monday, November 24th, 2025, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. I hope that y'all had a great weekend, and I hope that you're ready to go here today for our truncated holiday Thanksgiving week. As mentioned in the opener there, this is one of my favorite weeks of the year, my favorite holiday of the year. I can't wait. Get a couple of extra days off, but we're going to be here on Friday. So even though we have a half day, we're still going to be here to get it done. Welcome back, everybody. James today is first. James says, happy Monday. James, I see your happy Monday, and I raise you a happy Victory Monday, because that's exactly what it is. Welcome back, James. It's good to see you. Whisk, good morning. Welcome back. Big Dave, good morning. Welcome back. The producer's ready to go, already talking about candied yams, and we're only at Monday. I suspect that's going to continue to pick up throughout the course of the week here. Brian, good morning. We're going to talk about Apple without Apple without Cook. I know you're talking here about Steve Jobs, but we actually have a story here on Apple. We're going to take a look at that as well. Ryan, good morning. Welcome back. Solitary Soldier, welcome back. Good morning. Crimp Biscuit, good morning. Welcome back. Sunkissed Yogi, good morning. Welcome back. Jane, good morning. Welcome back. Brian says 239 and 3 TDs on the best defense in the league. Caleb Williams is for real. Yeah, he is. We're pretty excited here in Bearstown. I'll tell you that much. Tom, good morning. My Bears prediction was right for another Victory Monday for the Bears. Y'all notice that I'm smiling and happy? It's fun like that. Billy, welcome back. CJet, one of our top movers. We're going to cover that. PD Kate, welcome back. Oscar, actually, we have some good news affecting all of the healthcare stocks. We'll probably roll through some chart time on that as well. So we're definitely going to be mentioning that. Yes, that girl, good morning and welcome back. Jim, good morning and welcome back. Bernhard, welcome back. Day Trader is locked in and ready to go. Have another digital asset treasury mover here today. Day Trader, I think it's already on your list, but I haven't checked yet. Let's see, where am I at? Rooster, good morning, welcome back. Peter, are we ready for Turkey Day? Oh, yes, we are, Peter. And in fact, since last week, I've been counting down the hours. And here we are. The week is upon us, but we got 3 sessions to get through first before we enjoy Turkey Day. Tyler, good morning. Welcome back. Kenneth, good morning. Welcome back. Scarlett, good morning. Welcome back. Day Trader says, I don't know what that is. Can I still hit the like? Yes, I'm going to sometimes come up with things that you don't know what they are in the opener. I still expect you to hit a like and perhaps broaden your horizons. Just the real quick and dirty on it. Escape from Tarkov is a game that has been in beta since 2018. There's been a lot of people playing it. It is a brutal game that is very, very difficult and creates a lot of frustration, but it is finally finished and released. And I play it with a group of guys that are just, it's awesome and it's a lot of fun. And we spent some time doing that this weekend, and it was really cool to get back there. More about the social aspect than anything else, but a great game if you like a challenge and if you like shooter games. Lambo Rolls, good morning, welcome back. Archangel, good morning, welcome back. Nancy, good morning, welcome back. Is Google the play of the day? Google has been a play of the day since last week. We're trading up here again. That's actually one of our stocks in focus. We'll take a look at Google. But boy, oh boy, that's been great on its move up to and through 300. So I know that there were some folks trading it last week. Ended up being a pretty good swing trade. Nancy, we'll take a look at Google and see if there's more meat left on the bone for that one. Transitions, good morning. Welcome back. Cam, good morning. Dirkus, good morning. Johnny, good morning. Cad Monkey, good morning. Just passing through, welcome back. Catherine, it's good to see you again. Neville, likewise. Corey, welcome back. Jay Harris, welcome back. HK Matt, welcome back. White Chocolate Mocha, now we can start. Yeah, so fine. You so fine. Welcome back. Matthew, good morning. Bear down indeed. Super Nintendo, that's actually a sweet handle. Welcome. Good to see you and love your handle. Pretty Panda, good morning. Welcome back. Buffalo by Bicycle, welcome back. Yakov, welcome. Eric, good morning. Welcome back. Fed rate tool up to 77%. Think we're going up. You know what? I'm glad you brought that up, Eric, because last week when we got the jobs data, in the morning, right after we got the data print, it went down to like 30%. By the end of the day, I checked it because I wanted to talk about it in happy hour, and it had gone up to 39%. And then at the end of the week, it was like 70-something%. Check today, it was in the 70s. So looks like that is getting priced in here, but we'll see how it shakes out. We still got some more time before we really need to make a call or a trade on that. Keith, good morning. Welcome back. Jay, good morning. Unpopular Truth, good morning. Jeremy, good morning. Just some guy, good morning. Pete, good morning. Pete holds one of those healthcare stocks that's bumping here today. Again, we're going to roll through all those. Nuvici, good morning. Welcome back. Jane, it's good to see you. Who am I missing here? Robot to Trade, good morning. Welcome back. 7 years of beta. Like I said, day trader, it was a... check out a well, you can't really anymore because the beta is over. Anyway, check out a Twitch stream for 20 minutes and you'll probably figure out why it was like that. Game revolves a lot on audio. They had to change a lot of that. Only supercomputers could play it at first. They had to scale it and optimize it so that more people could play it. It was a long road, but we're here and there's no other game like it, period. End of story. K Craft, welcome back. True Lane, welcome back. And let's go ahead and get started. Let's kick off this Thanksgiving week. I'm so excited I can barely contain myself, but we're going to go ahead and do the stock market today right now. All right, futures green ahead of Monday's open here on Thanksgiving week. S&P futures up 0.65%, Dow futures up 0.36%, and the NASDAQ leading the way higher here at 0.95%. Let's take a look at some cues from last session here. Communication services, healthcare, materials, consumer discretionary, and real estate stock sectors led the gains on Friday as all sectors ended in the green. So we talked about a potential bottoming move and then a move higher on Friday. Well, indeed, that's exactly what we got. Can we hold on to that? That's obviously going to be the next $64,000 question. And as mentioned, futures green here in the pre-market ahead of the open. Optimism among investors is rising following New York Fed President John Williams' indication that a rate cut in December is still on the table. We talked a little bit about that. The CME watch tool is changing pretty rapidly. We're going to keep our eye on that as we get closer to that December meeting date. He said in a speech on Friday that, I quote, "I still see room for further adjustment in the near term to the target range for the federal funds rate to move the stance of policy closer to the range of neutral," end quote. So basically telling you that it's a possibility here, but no decision has been made yet. Meanwhile, investors await earnings from Dell, HP, Deere, and Lee Auto this week, and others in this Thanksgiving shortened week. The 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.05%, hovering right around that 4%, unable to really trade beneath it yet. The 2-year bond was at 3.51%. Now, we do have some stocks in focus for you here today. The first one is going to be ticker Pony, Pony. That rose 2.59% in the pre-market on Monday as it announced a partnership with ride-hailing platform Sunshine Mobility to build large-scale autonomous driving fleets. So we have a new player here, or another advancement in one of the players in the autonomous driving cycle or theme. WeRide is our next ticker here. That's ticker WRD. That jumped 7.92% as its revenue grew 144.3% year over year to $24 million. Gross profit also rose 1,123.9%, yikes, year over year to $7.9 million in the third quarter. The next stock here is Alphabet. I know a lot of you folks are talking about Google already. Alphabet here, ticker GOOG and GOOGL. That gained 2.38% after it surpassed Microsoft in market value on Friday, following the launch of Gemini 3 and Nano Banana. I didn't know what Nano Banana was. Apparently, it is an AI tool that does a magnificent job creating images. And some of these images can be created for work purposes like flow charts and diagrams, as well as the obvious comedy that can be layered on top of that. So didn't have Nano Banana in my news read here today, but here we are. This job continues to surprise. The next stock on the list here is going to be Zoom Communications. That's ticker ZM. That was 0.52% higher ahead of its expected earnings to be released after the closing bell here today. Wall Street is expecting $121 per share on revenue of $1.21 billion. Remember, Zoom, one of the COVID darlings. We'll see if that can actually trade up on the back of its earnings. The last stock on our list of stocks in focus here today is going to be Keysight Technologies. This is ticker KEYS. That was up 0.45% as analysts expect it to report earnings of $177 per share on revenue of $1.39 billion after the closing bell. All right, let's start with the SPY chart. Here's what it looks like going into the Thanksgiving week here on a Monday morning. The move down from last week culminated in a bounce off of the 100-day. So far, it looks like that 100-day is holding. That value is at 653.34. If I take a look at the market from the pre-market area from Friday, we actually made a double bottom at around 650 in the pre-market. So we did overshoot this a bit here. And it looks like we bounced. Now, I personally much prefer when we peak below some of these levels as opposed to bouncing clean off of the level. I would much rather have there be, at a minimum, some trading beneath that level and then a recapture of it. To me, that always signals more bull. In this case, if we're talking about going up, more bullish. I guess it would be bearish in the reverse. But what we saw here, like it so far, we'll see if this holds up today. Again, I am expecting lower volume this week, in particular on some of the index ETFs, as well as some of the big cap names. We'll see if that holds up here. But looking at the SPY chart, it appears as if we've bounced off the 100-day so far. Your next upside levels here are going to be 667.34. That's the previous all-time high breakout that has now acted as both resistance and support. Right above that, a stone's throw above that, in fact, we have the 50-day moving average. That's right at 669.16. So if we just want to call that 669, that would make a lot of sense to me. We also have the 20-day moving average at 673.44. So all of those spots, oh, and then also the 673 previous all-time high breakout levels. So those four spots, the bottom and the top end of the range, 667.25 and 673, as well as the 50-day moving average at 669 and the 20-day moving average at 673.5. All four of those levels can represent upside resistance levels, and all four of them are in play here today if the market continues to trade up. So we'll keep an eye on that. Obviously, a low level here going to be that 653.34. That would represent the 100-day. And then I would also throw 650 in there because the SPY has already shown us that it's going to use that as support, even if it's in an extended session. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We'll see how today shakes out. I think this week, sitting here Monday, a lot can change, but sitting here Monday, I suspect that our big moves and our big setups are probably going to be in smaller names. We'll see, though. We'll keep our ear to the street on all of that. going on here. All right, let's take a look at some insights from analysts here. Prominent economic and market voices are sounding alarms regarding U.S. stability, highlighting risks from market concentration and policy choices. Investor Ruchir Sharma argues that American exceptionalism is peaking, warning that America is now one big bet on AI, end quote. With AI capital expenditure driving 40% of growth, Sharma contends this maniacal focus conceals deep fiscal vulnerabilities. He observes that investors currently offer a free pass on deficits. The market represents a good story that has gone too far. This almost sounds a little bit like bubble talk here. He cautions that, quote, if the AI boom was not happening, the economy would be weaker, end quote, advising diversification as the gap of performance closes. Compounding these structural risks, Moody's chief economist Mark Zandi warns of serious affordability crisis. Somebody better ask Mark about some of his calls that are often wrong. He argues that specific policies, specifically tariffs and immigration restrictions, are juicing inflation. Zandi notes that it didn't have to be this way, but protectionist measures upended that outlook, pointing towards an even higher inflation dead ahead. Let's see if Zandi can get one back for his record, or if he's going to take yet another L. While Sharma fears a bubble burst, Zandi emphasizes the burden on consumers, predicting that tough financial times will persist for the foreseeable future. For anyone that wants to go through the actual data and his tweets, let me try and get you the story here. All of those tweets are going to be linked in here. I think he actually has a thread, and all of that will be right in the link there. Now, some upcoming economic data. No data is scheduled for today, so cool, we get the day off. Now on Tuesday, September's delayed U.S. retail sales headline and core PPI will be out by 8:30. So it looks like we're going to get some, albeit delayed, we're actually going to get a data drop yesterday, and we'll see how the market takes that. September's S&P Case-Shiller Home Price Index for 20 cities will be released at 9. And that's tomorrow. August delayed business inventories data, November's consumer confidence data, and October's pending home sales data will be out by 10. On Wednesday, the initial jobless claims data will for the week ending November 22nd, and September's delayed durable goods order will be announced by 8:30. No data scheduled for release on Thanksgiving, thankfully. I mean, come on. And on Friday, November's Chicago Business Barometer, or the PMI, will be released at 9:45. Okay, now speaking of concentration and fears of overvaluations in the market, is the market just the Mag 7? Investors are worried about the tech concentration as a major risk, and this is something that we have covered ad nauseum here on this show, and I'm sure we will continue to talk about this for the rest of the year as well as into 2026. The AAII Sentiment Survey just confirmed what every investor scrolling X already suspected, or everyone that tunes in our show. A growing number of retail investors think the stock market has shrunk from 500 companies to roughly 7. The Mag 7, in fact, Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, Meta, Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Tesla. We also have the Mag 10 being thrown around now, which of course adds AMD, Broadcom, ticker AVGO, and Palantir. These dominate returns, headlines, and portfolio anxiety. And now investors are saying the quiet part out loud. This concentration is actually becoming a major risk. More than a third of AAII respondents labeled megacap tech dominance as a major concern, and another third called it somewhat concerning but manageable. Translation, investors aren't panicking, but they're definitely tightening their seatbelts. Now, a quick glance at how our audience handles the day-to-day here, and you see that this is exactly right. We have a number of folks here that like a certain amount of stocks, but still think the market might be coming in, still think some of these might be overvalued, but their long-term premise is still intact. We often talk about diversifying as a topic here, maybe moving into a really good example of this is the AI trade, right? Instead of just loading up an AMD or NVIDIA, we talk about picks and shovels in the data center play, the infrastructure play. And I think that diversification is actually going to do well for the market. And it looks like there are others that are going to follow that. So if we can be early, that can actually benefit our own trade. Even with the mega cap jitters, sentiment overall improved this week. Bearishness finally eased off of its near year-long perch, while bullishness and neutrality both inched higher. But don't mistake that for enthusiasm, because bullish sentiment remains stuck below its long-term average, and neutral sentiment is still deeply depressed versus history. That profile, slightly less fear, not much more conviction, fits the moment perfectly. Yes, pessimism is pulling back, but no, Main Street isn't suddenly excited about valuations perched on the shoulders of 7 giants. That's a really well-written paragraph. I completely agree. Investors looking for sentiment-driven mean reversion typically start scanning broad ETFs like the S&P 500 SPY and the Vanguard ETF VOO, or the equal weight Invesco S&P 500 equal weighted ETF, the RSP, which historically outperforms during transition fear to cautious optimism. While investors openly question whether the S&P 500 has effectively become the S&P 7, ETF flows are now starting to reveal a quiet rotation. And we have a guest to talk about exactly that here today. Funds like Invesco's 500 equal weight ETF or the RSP look appealing for investors who want to de-risk concentration. Small cap and mid cap ETFs like the IWM and the iShares Core S&P Small Cap ETF, the IJR, and the MDY become natural escape hatches for those betting the rest of the market eventually wakes up. Meanwhile, for those who believe megacap dominance is simply the reward for unmatched earnings power, sticking with the Qs or the QQQ or the technology sector XLK remain the conviction trade. The AAII survey paints a picture of market uneasy with its own imbalance. When 7 stocks steer the index, sentiment becomes hypersensitive and rotation moments become profitable. For investors, the message is simple. This isn't about fleeing tech. It's about recognizing that when the market narrows, opportunity widens elsewhere. And this is exactly what we have been trying to prepare you for here on this show. I am expecting more really big AI-related IPOs next year. Right off the top of my head, I would think of Anthropic, Databricks, and OpenAI. It almost doesn't even matter when we get them. I do think 2026 will see all of these companies brought to market. And I would imagine, given the AI trade here, that there's going to be significant, let's call it diversification into some of those names. Think about it if you were a fund manager and you were up and most of your gains are in stocks like Google, Apple, Tesla, any of the Mag 7 names. What would you, if there was a hot new company that you think is going to do really well, what would you do? You'd probably trim some of your winners and then roll that money into some of these new companies. And I suspect we are going to see some of that on a fairly larger scale coming here pretty soon. Now, one more thing before we get to our guest here regarding NVIDIA. The Trump administration ponders allowing NVIDIA to trade the H200 AI chips with China. This would be big for NVIDIA, without a doubt. President Trump's administration is reportedly contemplating the possibility of permitting NVIDIA to trade its H200 artificial intelligence chips with China. According to a report, the Trump administration's internal discussions indicate a significant deviation from its previous stance on semiconductor export controls. However, this potential move remains subject of debate with no final decision as of yet. The ongoing discussions are being perceived as a potential win for NVIDIA's CEO Jensen Huang, who's been advocating for the relaxation of such controls. Following the news of these discussions, NVIDIA shares experienced a surge, reaching a session high on Friday with a gain of up to 2% to about 184.29. Despite the ongoing discussions, NVIDIA stated that the current regulations are a hindrance to offering data center products in China, thereby leaving the market open to its rapidly growing foreign competitors. The proposed sale of H200 chips to China could signify, a substantial relaxation of the U.S. trade restrictions aimed at limiting China's advancement with artificial intelligence. However, this move is expected to face resistance from China hawks in Washington. As of now, representatives from the White House and the Commerce Department, which regulates exports, have not commented on the H200 discussions. The proposed sale of NVIDIA's H200 AI chips to China could have far-reaching implications. It could potentially open up a new market for NVIDIA, boosting its sales and profits. However, it may also escalate tensions between the U.S. and China, given the ongoing trade war and the sensitive nature of AI technology. The move could also face backlash from lawmakers and other stakeholders who are concerned about China's growth and prowess in AI. I actually lied. I'm sorry. I've got one more really quick thing to mention before we bring on our guest here. It does have to do with Apple, and this was mentioned by you folks in the chat earlier. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman has shared that Apple CEO Tim Cook is likely to retain his position until at least mid-2026. Now, this is interesting because we covered a report recently that Cook was looking to step down sometime in 2026. This looks like this is a little bit of a change to that timeline. The Financial Times had earlier reported this month that Apple was gearing up for Cook's departure as soon as next year. This report has triggered speculations about a potential leadership transition ahead of Apple's annual events. However, Gurman, in his latest Power On report, refuted this claim. Gurman has expressed that he would be shocked if Cook were to step down between late January and June of next year. Quote, based on everything I've learned in recent weeks, I do not believe a departure by the middle of next year is likely. In fact, I would be shocked if Cook steps down in the time frame outlined by the Financial Times. Shots fired. He goes on to say some people have speculated that the story was a test balloon orchestrated by Apple or someone close to Cook to prepare Wall Street for a change, but that isn't the case either. I believe the story was simply false.
You are fake news.
Tim Cook won't be the CEO forever, but a report on his imminent departure was premature. Apple's chief executive officer, Tim Cook, turned 65 this month and is one of the longest tenured CEOs in Silicon Valley. I know there's a lot of talk about him not producing innovation, but I tell you what, Apple's stock price has done tremendously under his leadership. That's something that Wall Street will definitely consider. There will be a day when the company announces a CEO transition, and we're far closer to the end of Cook's tenure than we are from the beginning. Gurman also noted that there have been few signs internally that Cook is planning to step down. He further mentioned John Turnus, who we mentioned the last time we mentioned the Financial Times report. This is likely the successor. The speculation about Cook's departure has raised concerns about the future leadership of Apple, a company that's seen tremendous growth under Cook's stewardship. Gurman's prediction, if accurate, would mean that Cook will continue to guide Apple's strategic direction for the next few years, potentially leading to further growth and innovation. The mention of John Turnus as a potential successor also provides some insight into Apple's succession planning, which is crucial for the company's long-term stability and success. I think the only thing that we can gain from this is that when Cook does in fact step down, it's most likely going to be John Turnus who takes over from that. All right, folks. It's that time. We normally don't have guests on Monday, but we got a real special one for you here today. It is my pleasure to bring on friend of the show, Ed Iglinski. Let's say good morning and happy Monday. Happy Victory Monday to Ed. Ed, good morning. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here. I like when you come on with a smile and laughter. That is a good omen for everything.
It's a holiday shortened week, and being a Cowboy fan, I can't help it. How about them Cowboys? Yeah.
How about them Cowboys? So first of all, happy Victory Monday. I don't know if you guys do this down in Dallas, but here in Chicago, we don't see a lot of these. So when we have a Monday after a Bears win, it is a Victory Monday, and we go all out. As you can see, I have my uniform for today on as well. That Cowboy game was something else. 24 unanswered points to get a win over a division rival. And I don't know if you recall, Ed, maybe you do, but when we got together right before the season started, I told you that I think the Cowboys might end up winning that trade with the Packers. How's that looking?
It's looking pretty good on both ends. I mean, definitely Parsons has played well for the Packers, but looks like the Cowboys are no worse for it right now. We'll see. So the Bears are looking pretty good also. So wear that with pride. I like the colors, really stands out for a Monday. So the Bears, first place right now. We'll see if they'll hold it, right?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that? The Bears first place? Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Okay, really good stuff. Again, thanks for joining us, and thanks for entertaining me with some of the football talk here. We are with Managing Director, Head of Global Sales, Distribution, and Alternatives for Direction, Ed Iglinski. Ed, I hope that your fall has been going well. Again, last time we checked in with you was early September, and kind of a lot's happened since then. The big event recently was the NVIDIA earnings, so I think we should probably start there. What do you make of the market action post NVIDIA? And let me set it up for you a little bit.
Sure.
One of the things that we were looking at here is how is this stock actually going to trade after the earnings? Like, I really expected it to be. I actually called it perfectly, not to toot my own horn, but I called it literally. I gave a very specific prediction that was spot on. We noticed Palantir had good earnings, immediately sold off. We're worried about the same thing with NVIDIA. Now we're kind of seeing that. What do you make of this, and what do the ETFs tell you?
Well, certainly that market reversal post NVIDIA earnings, it was strongly up post market into the pre-market, reversed. That price action tells me maybe there's going to be more downside coming.
Mm-hmm.
It was a sell on the news mentality. I think there's a big question. You alluded to it in the previous segment. The question on CapEx spending relative to revenue realized, the concentration risk with the Mag 7 right now, you brought that up, possibly some equal weights. We have an equal weight NASDAQ 100 for those of you out there that want to do more of a buy and hold diversified approach.
What's the ticker on that?
QQQE is that. So, most of the stuff we'll talk about today are short-term trading vehicles. QQQE is more diversification from a strategic asset allocation standpoint. So NVIDIA will have the same weighting, 1% as 100 stock in the NASDAQ. And you mentioned concentration risk, both in the S&P and the NASDAQ 100. When you look at the Mag 7 and Broadcom, they make up over 50% of the NASDAQ 100 right now.
Yep.
So the breadth of this market, that's the key. Is it going to expand out? And that'll really be a key as we go into 2026. And look at Google this year. All of a sudden, leading the Mag 7. We have a 2X bull and an inverse bear. GGLL is the bull. GGLS is the inverse bear. So it's interesting when you look at the Mag 7, not everything is rising together. Amazon, Tesla, and Meta are relatively flat for the year, especially after Meta's earnings. Yeah. The one thing that you want to look at that's led this market is semis. It was due for some sort of pullback. It was overextended to the upside. It's having a difficult month this month, but it's still outperforming the broader market strongly year to date. And we have a number of ways that you could trade that, as you know. SOX L and SOX S, which is the triple leverage on the NYSE Semiconductor Index. So that's the broad basket index of 30 stocks. But also we just launched the Titans, which are more of a top 5 concentrated basket of the semis. So it's taking the top 5 market cap weighted of the semis and equal weighting them. And that's TSXU on the bull and TSXD on the bear. And then, as you know, Matt, we talk about single stock. They've become very popular. We have a broad spectrum of single stocks that you could trade, both 2X bull, inverse bear, whether it's NVIDIA, Taiwan Semi, Broadcom, Micron, Qualcomm. And most recently, just last week, we launched 2X Intel Bull, Lint, L-I-N-T. Hopefully that won't be the case when you trade it. There'll be more than Lint when you're done with it. It'll be more like Mint, but this is L-I-N-T. So.
Okay, I love it. First of all, let me start with SOXS and SOXL. Those two have been great trades for us. Those are, I would say, that are probably the 2 ETFs that I end up trading the most. I look at a bunch of other ones, but I end up trading the most on those. That leverage is something else. Really great to see that you continue to proliferate with some of these other single stock levered ETFs. Do you have one yet for Palantir, and do you have one for some of those crazy quantum names?
Well, Palantir we do. We've had for a while. It's one of the more popular ones. 2X Bull is PLTU.
Yep, and PLTD. Got it.
PLTD is the inverse bear. When you look at it, one of the things, and we'll talk about this, the leverage and inverse single stock for us, you want to have market cap leaders in their respective categories. You want to have the breadth of those stocks trading, the most active, most liquid. So some of these smaller names, you probably won't see us get involved with, because we want to make sure that we can provide that exposure day to day. And some of these smaller names, who knows who's going to survive and who's not. So when you look at our leverage and inverse single stock space, it tends to be the bigger market cap names in their respective categories.
Okay, now I'm going to step up the difficulty here in questions, if you will, Ed. With the overall market pullback that we've kind of seen from the highs here that's gone on recently, how can traders potentially profit from this? Where should they be looking?
Well, it's Monday, so take it easy on me. I haven't had a strong enough cup of coffee yet. But
Fair enough.
if you're a lot of your viewers are looking at technicals, so certainly the S&P 500 is holding. Everybody's talking about it, holding right at that 100-day moving average. It's held support so far. I think that's definitely a good gauge when you're looking at technicals right now. When you look at our flows, for example, we're seeing inflows in bull funds this month on market dips like this. So you see contrarian trading. Usually if the market's really strong, you could see some outflows in bear funds, bull funds rather, people taking profits. In a market environment like this where it's sold off this month, you tend to see people buying on the dip in terms of trading the leverage bull funds. Valuations right now are elevated. You touched on this in the NASDAQ 100 and the S&P 500. This month, what's prevailed? Inverse trades have benefited this month. It's the SOX S's of the world, the Tech S's of the world, some of the inverse single stock, most notably METD, Meta. Meta's down probably about 20% from its highs right after earnings there. So people are trading those. And also the AI trade to the bear side, AIBD, for example. And then if people want to trade the inverse of the Mag 7, we have QQQD. So with these inverse funds, of course, you want to take an outright short or you want to hedge gains. As long as you're monitoring daily, these are timing vehicles too. So, the market's been mostly trending higher this year, but there've been some opportunities selective where you could trade inverse funds, but you have to be tactical with them, no different than the leverage long side.
I'll tell you what, this AIBD is perfect. We've been talking a lot about big data and data center. This is an awesome levered one. I haven't traded this one myself. The price is perfect for trading. So really, really good mention here on this. I'm going to add this one to my watch list. Okay, how are traders reacting to the resumption of more economic data releases? I just went over how we're going to get some of the delayed data. Are you seeing that represented in any of the ETF flow?
It's difficult right now. I think interest rate traders, we have TMF, TMV, the triple leverage 20-plus year treasury off of TLT, and we also have the triple leverage bull and bear, TYD and TYO off the 7 to 10 year, which some of you know the non-leverage is IEF. The Fed fund futures are really mixed here. It's about 50-50 whether or not there's going to be a rate cut. I think the Fed Governor Williams helped last week refuel the rate cut hopes with some of the comments that he made. But like you mentioned, there's not a lot of data points for traders, interest rate traders, to trade off of. That's going to resume. It's a little bit lagged. We just saw the September job numbers. They showed some strength, maybe causing some pause on that rate cut talk. Inflation is still very sticky right now. Mm-hmm. And for those technicals, people that are following the technicals, the 10-year treasury rather, holding that 4% level, that's critical support. We'll see if it continues to hold that. But you look at TLT and IEF over the last month, been relatively flat. People are just looking for, no pun intended, direction in interest rates. So right now we're seeing flows both in the bull and bear because of the lack of clarity right now on what the Fed's going to do. Watch out below, though, if the Fed doesn't cut rates in December. I'll mention this later, but there may be coal in the stockings, and Fed could be Santa Claus in terms of whether or not it's a nice Christmas or maybe it's not what you expected in terms of gifts. So
okay, that's interesting. That sounds like I'm going to be asking you about a Santa Claus rally coming up here. But before we get to that, if we do have a market that goes lower here, how about gold? Right, we talked last time about gold. We talked about gold miners. With market volatility picking up, do you believe that gold and gold miner stocks have a chance to move higher?
Well, certainly they've ripped higher this year for the most part. Gold mining stocks have outperformed gold finally. That's the first time in a number of years that's taking place. They're playing catch up on the trade. People love to trade our gold miners, 2X Bullet Bear, Nugget, Dust. I love those names. J Dust and J Nug, which is just off the GDX and GDXJ leverage products, bull and bear. People like to trade the mining stocks because of the higher beta than gold. But if you look at it right now, gold and gold mining stocks have rallied in an environment where it's been risk on. The VIX is starting to pick up now. Volatility is starting to increase. If anything, I think now it could be more of a gold type of trade as we go towards year end with all this uncertainty. And if further rate cuts do transpire, that tends to be a tailwind for gold and probably gold mining stocks as well. And central banks continue to buy as a reserve currency here. And even this month with gold and gold miners rallying, the dollar strengthening a little bit here. That might be also some sort of indication that maybe the Fed's not going to cut rates. So I would keep an eye on the dollar. If the dollar continues to strengthen here going into the Fed meeting, that could tell you, tip your hand a little bit that maybe the Fed's not going to cut in December. But gold mining stocks, of course, there's a difference between the two. As you know, there's divergences at times. But certainly for people that like to trade those markets, we certainly have the vehicles for them with gold mining stocks.
Yeah, absolutely. J Nug here. This is probably one of my favorite all-time ETFs for trading. Obviously, the end of the summer into the fall, this was the place to be. Just an unbelievable gain here. It looks like we're kind of retraced some of that move, but we'll see if this picks up again. Now, you kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but I just want to give you a little bit more time to elaborate on that. When we've talked about some of these like levered inverse single stock ETFs, and they've become so popular, are there any others that you want to discuss, like any of the other latest launches or new tickers that our viewers might not be familiar with yet?
Well, as you know, I don't lack for rattling off tickers. So we've launched a couple of new leverage and inverse single stock last week. A 2X bull inverse bear on Oracle. ORCU is the bull. I believe ORCS is the bear. And then also crypto related stocks. We're getting into the fray there with the ones that are the leaders in that respective space. Robinhood, 2X Bull, HODU, and then also Coinbase, 2X Bull, CONX. So last week we launched Intel 2X Bull, Hood 2X Bull, Coinbase 2X Bull, and Oracle, the one that we had a pair on, 2X Bull and inverse bear on that. So 27 now stocks of leverage and inverse single stock we have. Most of them are pairs of 2X Bull, inverse bear. Some of them, though, we just did the 2X Bull, as evident by some of the ones we launched last week. Very popular, by the way, since they launched in 2022. We're about 40% of that market. Why do people love to trade these single stocks? They want to get more granular in their trading. They love trading off headlines, pre and post earnings. And it's a way also in the inverse side to hedge gains or an outright short where your liability is limited to your initial investment. Of course, if you're going to hedge gains in some of the things like Mag 7, you want to make sure that that hedge is properly balanced in terms of what your net long exposure you want it to ultimately be. We're seeing a lot of price activity in METU, people buying on the dip. Look at the breakdown in Meta, for example, below its 50, 100, 200-day moving average. RSI, below 30 for a while now. People are waiting for that to rally. We'll see if that comes about. But in anticipation of that, a lot of traders are piling into METU, the 2X Bull, anticipating a rally. And I mentioned Google before. A lot of your viewers out there, Google really hit its stride when they got that ruling that they didn't have to break up their search, with the antitrust. And then they've really gotten some great news since. The OpenAI partnership, I'll take with a grain of salt. Everybody discusses, OpenAI's had a partnership with everybody. I'm not surprised you and I don't get some knowledge.
I'm waiting for the PR where they invest $1 billion in me and I can just start doing things. So I'll let you know if they come, and I won't forget about you either.
But with Google, with Gemini 3 launch, I think some of these things that Google's doing could be a game changer. And one of the things, the difference with Google, Microsoft, for example, and Amazon, the one thing in the AI space that they have is that they have the cloud. And that's the infrastructure that's getting, that's a moneymaker for them. It will continue to be. So you can be a little more patient on some of those, especially with the cloud business generating the revenue it does.
Okay, real quickly here, just a follow-up question. I did drop those new tickers in here. It's awesome to see you keep coming up with new ETFs here. Do you have anything for Ethereum specifically? I know last time we were together, you gave me two of perhaps my favorite tickers for anything in the market. You've got Lambo, LMBO, for your levered crypto bull, and Rekt, REKT, for your 1X bear. Awesome. Do you have anything specific to Ethereum?
No, we don't. We don't have anything related directly to crypto, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Solana or anything else. Stay tuned, though. We're always looking for opportunities there. So I'll never say never, but right now the crypto-related stocks are the way you could get trading exposure to the crypto space for us.
Okay, perfect. If you do release those products, I know an audience that would want to hear about it. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
You'll be the first to know.
That's perfect. All right, and now, what about some underperforming sectors that might represent some short-term upside in the current market that we're in? I know we talked a little bit about gold, but are there any other sectors that might be attractive right now?
Well, it's interesting. The last couple of months, look at healthcare and biotech.
Yep.
Left for dead. Look at the resurgence the last couple of months, including this month. We have, of course, the triple leverage in the S&P biotech, LABU on the bull. Everybody knows this one, LABD on the bear side. And then healthcare, the broader healthcare sector, the S&P healthcare sector. We have the triple leverage bull, aptly named Cure, on the healthcare sector on the bull side. You know, it's interesting. You're seeing the government now working some resolution or deals on drug prices, particularly with Pfizer, for example, a couple other announcements. So that's starting to dissipate some of the uncertainty there. And then in the biotech space, if you get rates continuing to go down, you may see more M&A activity. And if they're, for some biotech, for example, they need to borrow for R&D and spend there. So if you get rates lower, I think it'll help twofold for the biotech space and the potential for M&A there. The other area that's really underperformed is energy stocks. They're higher month to date, even with crude lower right now. Crude's, I think, the lowest it's been in a couple of months. And you have that global growth concerns with the energy stocks and the optimism, which is good news on the Ukraine-Russia situation resolving. Hopefully, thank God that will. That could put a little downward pressure on oil, but certainly energy stocks at the levels they're at right now, you can make the case maybe for a trade that they could see some bump to the upside.
Okay, interesting. Good mention there too on the biotech ETFs and how those should perform if rates continue to move down. We actually had a discussion recently. One of the viewers here has been trading several of these different biotechs as part of a theme. That's a really good tidbit that you just gave us there. Okay, last sector that I wanted to ask you about here, the big one going into the holiday season, it's retail. All right. What do you think recent retail stock earnings suggest about the health of the consumer going into one of the biggest shopping seasons of the entire year?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, most of the retail earnings were soft, and there was a lot of concern, forward guidance on the softness with the consumer. The one exception was Walmart, which has been a standout. And I think one of the reasons there is not only are they catering to clients for low price goods, but also they have the groceries as well as part of their revenue stream. But when you look at some of the retailers in general, it's been tough sledding for them, particularly the low price retailers. The one exception, some of the apparel makers have done okay and they've held up better. But XRT, for example, is slightly lower for the month. There are a couple of ways you can play it from a trading perspective. For us, the Retail Select Sector Index, Triple Leverage Bull, RETL. And then from a consumer discretionary standpoint, if you think that people are going to spend this holiday season, you want to place a trade, we have the Triple Leverage Bull on the consumer discretionary WANT, W-A-N-T. So those are a couple of ways you could play it. I would be a little concerned right now about the health of the consumer. It's a big driver in our economy. And some of the retailers, certainly that forward guidance was a little softer than I would have liked in terms of that consumer sentiment.
Okay, $64,000 question. I'm putting you on the spot. I know it's a Monday. Last one, I promise. Are we getting a Santa Claus rally this year or not?
It's a good question. Of course, you're talking about the last week of December, first 2 days of January for that. So it's a long way off. As I mentioned before, I think the Fed is going to be really Santa Claus this year in terms of the holiday season, not just what they say in the December meeting, but their forward guidance in terms of tipping their hand of further rate cuts. The U.S. market's headed higher for 3 straight years. I think a good litmus test is going to be the consumer strength into this holiday season, how people react. But again, when you look at it, your guess is as good as mine. But I would say, the path of least resistance is probably higher, and people are probably going to paint the tape towards the end of the year or chase in some cases if they're underperforming the benchmarks. But you have all the geopolitical risk out there, a lot of uncertainty still. So that could really impede that Santa Claus rally. But at least right now, you believe the momentum's on the side of that occurring again this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm completely with you there. And with the market pulling back a little bit, as long as it really doesn't break down or really kind of bounce and really overshoot, I actually think we set up pretty well for being an environment where maybe we do get a little bit of a Santa Claus rally near the end of the year. Okay, Ed, we do have one more question here. Are you on X by chance?
Yes, Direction is. So we have an X handle that somebody could go and look at. Yes, we do.
Okay, so Kenneth, Ed himself is not, but we'll get you the Direction X handle there. I'll have my producer pull that. We'll drop it here in the chat. Look, Ed, great stuff here again. We really appreciate all of the time that you give us regularly. This was a huge rundown. We got new tickers to take a look at here today. Really good insight into a bunch of different categories. And of course, we enjoyed a good old Victory Monday here together. So really awesome stuff there. I do really quickly want to mention, when we had talked about football earlier, you had told me to watch out for 3 teams. You said, watch out for the 49ers. And I'll tell you what, they really stood afloat with the amount of injuries that team went through. It's unbelievable to see how well they've done here. You told me to watch out for the Bengals, which unfortunately they lost their quarterback. And you told me you love the Packers. Well, I got news for you. I'm looking down at them right now, which I'm not used to. But so far, so good. So, all right, Ed, enjoy your Thanksgiving.
You too. You and your family. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there.
Be well. We'll talk to you pretty soon. That is Ed Aglinski from Direction, Managing Director, Head of Global Sales, Distribution, and Alternatives. Ed Aglinski. Really good stuff from him. He is awesome every time he joins us. Really good insight into a lot of different flows there and some new tickers for y'all to trade. Good questions, good interaction. That's exactly how we want to start off the week. And the transition is going to be seamless here because with Ed's departure, we now go ahead and bring on 13. 13, good morning. How are you doing? Happy Victory Monday to you too.
And happy Victory Monday to you, sir.
I know I just made a joke, but I had to because it was what he predicted months ago, so I had to touch on it. But nonetheless, I don't know about you, but I am beaming with excitement. This is one of my favorite weeks of the year. Thanksgiving is one of my favorite days of the year. As another reminder to those that are joining a little bit late, this is obviously a truncated week with no market on Thursday and only a half day on Friday. But what do you think we're going to see here? My question, we're going to get into the movers here as we always do, 13. But my question here, and we've talked about this on Happy Hour, do you think that we're going to see maybe kind of a light week? What are you expecting out of the truncated week, if anything?
The one thing that I am expecting is that there's probably going to be a lot fewer traders at their desks. I know some schools don't have, they're not open this week. So the kids are going to be around the house, probably going to be, doing things with the family. I would imagine that there's going to be a lot more illiquidity this week. And with that, we could see maybe a little bit more outsized moves, sometimes in either direction. So I don't know which direction, but I think that that's what we're going to get is a much more lower volume week. That illiquidity is going to send the stock market, and I don't know which direction, but it could make outsized moves.
Yeah, I think you're probably on to that. And we were just talking to Ed. He said that the Fed might hold the keys for the Santa Claus rally.
Probably.
Here it is.
Looks
Here
like
it is, Jerome
Santa's
Powell, Mr. Claus. We'll see if he lets us have a Santa Claus rally this week.
That's a Santa Claus on Ozempic, it looks like.
Okay. Did not have that one on my bingo card either. All right, let's go ahead and break down the movers. Get ready for the market session ahead. Oh, you know what? Before we do the movers here, I did really quickly want to go over something. I promised that we would talk about this. We're probably going to talk about this a little bit more, but let's go ahead and get started here. And I'm actually going to start with Oscar. So number of the healthcare stocks here. Here's Oscar Health, ticker OSCR. This is up 20% here today. 20%. Shares of healthcare stocks are trading higher after Politico reported that the White House will propose a 2-year extension of Obamacare subsidies with new limits on eligibility. So I chose Oscar here as the first example. You can see that today's 20% pop here in the pre-market actually brings us above the 5, the 200, and the 20. Those are some pretty beefy moving averages. If we take a look inside, this is what the chart looks like. Let's go ahead and take a look at several others here. We're going to do the popular ones. Here's UNH, albeit not up 20%. This actually up more than 2.25% here today. CNC, this is the one that Pete had talked about. Pete, you'll have to remind me, but I'm pretty sure this was an ad in this was an ad in the 20 handle, wasn't? Ad in a 20 handle, if I'm not mistaken. You'll have to correct me on that. Look at the move CNC is doing. This up 10% here as we just top 40. We talked about UNH. Humana would be another one, ticker HUM. I think Humana and UNH were the two stocks that Lion was the most bullish on. Humana, this is up 2%. Here's a look at what your daily chart looks like. Sure looked like this came up off of support level. And also the last one that we kind of talk about here is going to be MOH. This is Molina Healthcare. This too, all of these charts look like they're pretty beaten down. Some are at support areas. Molina here popping 6%. 13, you have any thoughts at all on any of these names or others that I might not have mentioned?
I just started looking at some of the ones that I own. Have you happened to touch on the fact that Johnson & Johnson is still hitting all-time highs? But I don't know, we might be getting a little extended here in that particular name. So not sure we're going to see a whole lot of upside with that one. Looked at Merck.
So really quickly, so it does not appear, now this might be different because as you outlined, Johnson & Johnson has made a huge run recently. So maybe that's changing things. A lot of those healthcare companies that we looked at had the opposite impact. The charts were fairly beaten down. But it sure seems to me that instead of actual drug or therapeutic companies, it is in fact the healthcare or the insurers that is actually benefiting from this, with those stocks all up across the board.
Yeah, it's like the whole sector is getting a lift, but more the insurers than the big pharma.
Correct. Yep. So all of those are up here today. That's your news. I didn't really have like a news story to really break it down earlier. We'll see how this shakes out. All of these should be on watch here today. And one more thing that I would pay attention to, whether you are holding it or looking to trade it, pay attention to those volumes. See if those volumes look outsized versus a week that we think is traditionally going to be a little less voluminous or a little bit lower volume on that. Okay, really good stuff. Yeah.
And remember, this is on news of a proposal. So there's nothing that's finalized here yet.
Yeah.
And this could end up being a buy the rumor, sell the news.
A proposal of an extension. So it's not even like a long term. Yeah, right. They're just extending some of these. Yeah. And
important.
Blaze Rhino here saying the more the government subsidizes healthcare, the more fraud. It's a terrible pattern. And I think that that's what they're trying to break away from. But I think very clearly here, they're trying to come up with a middle ground where people simply don't lose a majority of their health care. So we'll see how it all shakes out. That's a really good point that you're bringing up there. Nothing is actually finalized. And even if it was, it's actually for a short-term change here. Okay, let's get to the movers there. Oh boy, CJET, which was at the top of the list earlier, looks like it pulled back a little bit. We'll go ahead and start with ENLV here. This is NLivix Therapeutics, ENLV. Shares are trading higher after the company announced a $212 million private placement to begin prediction market digital asset treasury strategy. Let me make sure I got that right. A prediction market digital asset treasury strategy via RAIN token accumulation. Okay, y'all know what this means. 13, before you pop off here, day trader, are you familiar with the RAIN token at all? And if so, is there any insight you can give us? looking at the stock here, this is a stock that has really kind of been flirting with penny territory versus being $1. Today, we had an initial impulse move that immediately sold all the way back. And then when the volume came in, the stock started to ramp. So right away, we can learn here that if the volume is flowing higher, there is a potential for the stock to actually go higher. But man, oh man, if that volume dries up, it'll retrace that move quickly. Here we are in a little bit of a pullback. Quick peek at the short interest on this one, negligible, 0.38% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. That comes on an average volume of 203,000 shares. Looks like the float here is 23 million. Aha! How about that? How about that? It looks like Benzinga's news desk team did it again here. So we had an exclusive news at 7:45. Looks like we beat the PR by 10 minutes. Again, if we go back to the chart, oh, that was that piece of news. So congrats to anyone taking advantage of the Benzinga exclusive here. You are up nearly 100% on that, depending on where you bought there. 13, you got anything here on ENLV?
Yeah, that first impulse move was actually on a different set of data. This company also announced top-line data from its phase 2A Alocetra trial for knee osteoarthritis in patients age 60 or higher. So that piece of news sent it earlier this morning, came back in afterwards, and then we got the exclusive that sent it up even further. Now, the exclusive, I think, is obviously the bigger driver here. I mean, 212 million. That closes tomorrow. That's the big news here. But I think we can't ignore the fact that I think we're getting a little bit a bit of a boost as well from the top line data news. Now, as far as the trial goes, they are going to be moving into phase 2B in Q1. So they are going to need to have cash for that. And fortunately, this does give them some cash to work with a little bit, but it's mostly for the prediction market tokenization. Aside from that, like you had pointed out, there's no real short interest in this. I think the bigger news is the exclusive that we had, but this also had news on their phase 2A of Alocetra. Now, as far as the chart goes, oops, I'm on the wrong one. Looks like we are coming off of all that excitement right now. So I wouldn't be a buyer quite yet. I think the way that this momentum is swinging in the other direction now, and wait for it to find some kind of footing. We might not get that up here around the 155 area where it currently is, even though that does look like it could be a bit of a support area. I think your better bet is just to wait and see when this starts to go a little bit sideways or show signs of reversing. That might not come until down around to the VWAP or even maybe lower. If we do go lower, some areas of some support that I see, but no guarantee that they reverse. It's going to be about 135, and then beneath that, I would say 115.
Okay, really good breakdown there. ENLV. We'll see if we get another trade set up here today based on the action. Again, really good stuff to see the news desk team popping off with some more exclusives. 13, next on the list here. Looks like this is actually running recently. This was not on my list when I first woke up here today, so I'm flying a bit blind here. This is GELS. Now, I know we've traded this before. This is Gel Tech. They announced a preclinical results showing that its proprietary gel-based oral delivery formulation significantly improves the bioavailability of an antihistamine compared to a leading existing product. So a gel-based oral delivery formulation better than taking a pill. I'm interested in this because I have a bee sting allergy, and while it's not life-threatening, at least knock on wood, I don't necessarily need an EpiPen. I need to take antihistamines immediately, and I go for Benadryl. I go for the Benadryl pill. I almost wonder if this would be better for me. Anyway, this thing popping here, this also in penny territory, graduating to dollar territory. Looks like we are up by about 50% here today on the back of this news. As far as the short interest goes, 0.14% of the float shorted here. That comes on a days to cover of 1, so that's negligible. On average, stock trades 1.25 million shares. The float's 5.4. Today, we've traded 21.5. So way over its average volume here, likely to be wild all day. Should all depend on the volume. 13, what do you think here on ticker GELS?
Yeah, well, the float, pretty low, so it's easy to move around here. Didn't really get a great read on their cash position, but it does look like they are going to need some more of it. I had to move to an annual basis, and it looks like they lose about $5 million a year, and they've only, according to what I have here, they have about $3 million in the bank. So I don't know how that's going to work from here to the end of the year, but I don't know if they're going to raise capital or not today. But they're certainly going to have to at some point. Aside from that, looking at the chart here, this thing is almost about to make some new all-time lows in the direction it was heading, but today has certainly turned that around for the time being. Now, one thing that I'd be concerned about, if you look at a daily chart, every time this tries to get up through the 65 and sometimes the 200-day EMAs, it always gets rejected, or at least it's been getting rejected since we had this big drop-off over the summer. And there was some other news that with this in September. I don't know what that was. I didn't have time to look at it. But since then, we've been getting suppressed by those EMAs all the way down to today. So I think I'd be really concerned about where, closing above those. We might not. So the value I have for the 65-day EMA for gels is 123, and the 200 is 158. So we might go past those, but I don't know that we're going to hold above them. So just some areas of to watch for with this stock.
Okay, good stuff there on gels. I'm not sure I trust this one either, 13, but good breakdown. And look, these are at the top of the list, so I expect these to be in play at least right after the open. We'll see if they give us a full day here or not. Now, the other one, this was initially at the top of the list when I woke up here today. This is CJet. This is XIII Motor, XIII Motor. The company enters a strategic partnership with Edge AI, Frontier Technology Limited, to acquire up to $1 billion in Edge AI tokens at a 20% discount. So this also here, let's see, I think there was something else from this press release here. Cryptocurrency treasury, and then I'm not familiar with these tokens either. You'll have to let me know if that's the case here. But another blockchain digital asset treasury here. Other thing you want to keep in mind here: the company generates all of its revenue for the People's Republic of China. So it is a Chinese data asset treasury company here that is popping. Quick peek at the short interest on this name. I actually don't have a short float reading there. We must have recently had a split. I'll go check that out. I do have some short interest here. Let me check this. Sorry, I should have had this one prepared. Yes, in fact, the beginning of November, we did a 1-for-100 reverse. So all of our float numbers are totally thrown off. The stock's only $2.40. What would this have been? 2 cents split adjusted? Yeah, not for me. $3 seemed to be the high. We've come back in a little bit, retraced about 50% of the impulse move. We're below the VWAP. 13, do you have anything here on CJET?
Didn't cover this one. Very low float, under $1 million by the read here in Benzinga Pro. As far as the chart goes, since I really didn't take a look at anything under the hood here, it seems like it's trying to find its footing. It might be. I'm not really confident that this is where it's going to start to turn around. It could still go lower. Maybe down to 225 or $2 before it actually starts to turn around. But it could also happen here. It's just that it looks like it's trying to turn around, but the volume is just so abysmal that it could easily fall through the support that we're at right now, around 235. So just something to keep in mind if you're deciding to trade this name, that there still could be potentially more downside before it actually turns around.
Okay. Good stuff there. I will completely avoid this one personally. Also, the next stock on our list here is Oscar. This is one that we already talked about. This fit into the health theme here. Oscar, actually the best performer of all of those stocks that we took a look at earlier. This has actually made a pretty good move. I want to see how the volume holds up throughout the rest of the session here, but this is a good start. EPSM. I feel, you want to go back to Oscar? Sure. Go ahead.
I was going to just to talk about that one because I noticed that the 2X long ETFs were moving. And I was like, oh, okay, well, what's this? Why is this not higher? And then I started looking into Oscar. And of course, we figured it was the Politico article about the 2-year extension on Obamacare. This company does have cash and revenue, but it does lose a lot of money. It loses over $100 million a quarter. It used to be over $200 million. Now they seem to have reined that in a bit. But yeah, that's what I've got for OSCR. The stock continues to climb in the pre-market. It has come off its high of 1670, but it's still above VWAP. So as long as we can continue to hold above VWAP, there's still a potential for more upside.
Hey, look who's back. We have Lion back.
Welcome back, Lion.
Lion was away. Lion, I hope your time away was all right. Hope all is well in your corner of the universe. Welcome back, of course, but also some of these healthcare stocks that you have been talking about for a long time, namely UNH, namely Humana, these popping here today pretty much across the board. Here's what the UNH daily chart looks like. I don't think I went to that one earlier. So it's still higher than we initially talked about it. Here's what the Humana chart looks like, if I can type the ticker in correctly. This one actually at a support popping here today. So looks like you came back or the day that you came back, there seems to be some accompanying news. Welcome back. It's good to see you here. All right. Can I move on now?
Fine.
Next here is going to be EPSM. This is Epsium Enterprise. We talked about this one last week. I believe this was a whisk call, I think. I know we've traded this one before. We had a big move on Tuesday, and then we had another even bigger move there on Thursday. Whis, you'll have to remind me if this was one that you were messing around with. I'm pretty sure I'm getting that right. Anyway, we're basically still trading in the sideways area. This was carved out on Thursday. We danced around this area on Friday. We traded in this area in the after-hour session, and here we are in the pre-market session. Now, shares are trading higher on no news. Last Thursday, Aprea Therapeutics, ticker APRE, advances a cancer pipeline as Maxim Group sets its $10 price target. Today, what's interesting is that as soon as the pre-market opened, we popped up to the intraday high from Friday, immediately got Mutombo, lost the VWAP. Lower we go here. Now we have not breached the 350 low. This to me is going to be a key area here today. If we lose 350, you could probably come all the way back into the two handle, maybe even before where this thing started. Maybe even down here towards 155. We'll see. But in any case, that 350, a pretty key area there. VWAP here at 446. We're currently right at 4. So we'll see if we turn up at all on this name. Quick peek at the short interest. Negligible. 0.67% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. Comes on an average volume of 1.52 million. Today, we've already done 1.87 million. So it should trade better than it normally does. Float here, wheelhouse, 2.63 million. 13, what do you think here, EPSM?
I'm kind of just looking at this 5-minute chart over the past few days, when it had that first initial move. And then since then, I think you're talking about Thursday and then Friday, and then we're going into today. And it looks like I would probably draw a rectangle around this and just see which direction breaks out first. Because it's really a lot of sideways price action, maybe a little bit of broadening happening here. But, today it seems to be compressing. So I would just maybe draw a rectangle around all this price action that we've had, like maybe from, let's say, 325, 330, all the way up to 515. I think that would probably be the box I'd be looking at and just see what happens. I really don't have a big opinion on this one. I just think I would be looking at what happens with that rectangle. See, because it just seems like we're going sideways right now.
Yeah.
Like we're just in a channel. So that's what I'd be looking at here. Maybe we do get a recapture of VWAP. If we do, which we haven't this morning because we've been getting rejected there. If we get a recapture of VWAP, maybe it's a break to the upside. So that's what I'd be looking for with EPSM. See what happens with VWAP first, and then that might give us a direction.
Okay, I really like this. Box it out. This reminds me of the way Anne-Marie will often draw ranges and see if the stock price ends up bouncing off one of the ends of those ranges. I'll re-add this to my main workspace when we get over there. So it's available for us during the regular session. Okay, really good stuff there. Okay, a couple things I also wanted to mention here. JXG, this is JX Lux Venture Group. This did spike here. Did we have news on this one? No. So Thursday of last week, it said halted news pending. And did we ever end? We must have got that news out.
This sounds like it's like a.
It had a split last Wednesday. I don't see that news. I'll see if I can track that down.
It sounds like this is a Chinese name or something through Singapore. It sounds like one of those names. Xinhuan. Yeah. Certainly it is.
Yeah, business partners in China is definitely a Chinese name without a doubt. But I just wanted to see what the news it was halted for. I'll try and track that down here. But nonetheless, we spiked up to 7 here in the pre-market. We're all the way back down to actually we're beneath where the pre-market opened. We're almost back down to where we closed on Friday. So this to me, no bueno. Most of this is selling. I don't think this looks all that great. Again, as we mentioned, reverse split last week. 2.8% of the float is shorted here with 1.36 days to cover. On average, the stock trades 46,000 shares. Get out of here with that. That's insane.
The news was a reverse split.
Oh, that's what the news was for the reverse split. Okay. Oh, now it makes sense. You just had to draw me a map, 13. That's all.
Let's get
Okay. In any case, I'm going to avoid this one. Floats 18 million. 13. Do you have anything here?
No, I was just I don't have any this or anything to say about.
I'm with you on that. Okay, WeRide. This is the other one that I wanted to mention here. This was actually mentioned briefly in the Stocks in Focus when we first started the show here. WeRide shares are trading higher after the company reported year-over-year revenue in Q3 financial results. So they had earnings here this morning, pretty good. The earnings pop and the conference call has taken us above the high that we put in on Thursday. We back out here. We're basically right into the consolidation area from the pullback on Wednesday, November 12th. I go to a 15-minute chart here. This, to me, is the area that we need to clear out. So key level here about 8 or 850-ish. We clear this area out. Maybe that puts 9 and then 950 on deck here for WeRide. We'll see if it ends up getting that. Quick peek at the short interest on this name. 2.94% of the float shorted with 1.22 days to cover. Float on this, the thickest of all of the stocks that we've taken a look at here outside of the healthcare stocks. 264 million shares in the float. On average, trades 7 million shares. It's traded under a million here today. Ticker WRD. Do you have anything here on this one, 13?
When you first said the name, I laughed because I thought it was one of those other We stocks, like
We Touch, WeRide,
and the other one that's moving this morning. Well, not really moving, but had some big moves. We Shop. That one is also hitting the scanners as well. But don't even. If you know what you're doing, go ahead. But be careful with We Shop. And as far as WeRide goes, it looks like the news is much better. This seems to be kind of trading into a bit of a cup with handle formation over the past few trading days. So it had a move up on Thursday up to this area that we're kind of trading at right now. Came back in the same day, went sideways on Friday, and then here we are popping again on some new news that is taking us right back up to Thursday's regular session high. So I think that high from Thursday is going to be a very important level to watch for. We need to get over that if we're going to see any more upside. Seems like we could see this climb higher, but it's going to be a breakout over $8, in my opinion. I think that's what we're going to end up wanting to see here with WRD. Now, as the 65 EMA approaches the VWAP, that could give it a bit of a lift here. The MACD looks like it's starting to turn up and momentum. So maybe as we approach the open here, we see WRD break over 8.
Okay, 8 to me looks to be the first spot there. Bry says we split. He's not interested. Producer says we pump and we dump. So I don't. We'll see here on WeRide. $8 seems to be pretty good. We'll see how this ends up going. Okay, next on the list here is Aton, and I believe this was a digital asset treasury. Yeah, indeed. AlphaTon submits strategic offer to acquire a majority stake in Forbes Media. So AlphaTon moves to buy a 51% stake in Forbes to build AI-resistant Web3 powered media brand. Take a look here. This specializes in digital asset treasury focused on building and managing a strategic reserve of the TON tokens developed for the Telegram system. So again, I would have to go check Day Trader's digital asset treasury worksheet. I don't know if Aton is on here, or ATON, I should call it. Not familiar with this. Don't know how they're going to buy Forbes Media. I don't know. Quick peek here at some of this, though. Let's start with the short interest. 3.23% of the float shorted with 1.08 days to cover. Average volume for this stock is just under 1 million shares. Trade 22 million today, almost 23, and 4.94 million in the float on this. Do you have anything here on ATON?
I'm just trying to make sure I understand this correctly. Forbes, half of Forbes might be taken over with crypto. Is that my understanding of this?
I didn't read through this. Is Forbes Media? Is this like a Forbes Media Holdings FMH?
I guess I would need to, like you, I would need to read into this a little bit more to understand exactly what they're talking about here in terms of takeover. I don't know enough about this company. It's listed as a biotech. So yeah, I don't know enough about this company. I'm just going to go right to the technicals because I have not looked at this, and I don't want to, question the news here.
So here, this is here you go. Forbes is one of the most powerful global media brands in the past 50 years. As media increasingly relies upon data and distribution, our ability to connect the brand with more than 1 billion users of Telegram and tokenize many of its assets will be a winning combination. So
I don't know how to feel about that.
I don't either, actually. They were saying how the financial data infrastructure suffers from inaccuracy. Somehow this tokenization is going to fix this problem. They're talking about issuing numerous press releases and SEC filings with updated information. We persistently observe errors and outdated details concerning the company's sector, board members. Okay, so it looks like what they're trying to do is they're trying to tokenize some of the different data releases for Forbes, and they're trying to make it so that there's less errors across the presentation. That's what he calls it. We persistently observe errors and outdated details. So it appears as if what they're trying to do is deliver timely and accurate data to the customers or to its readers, or I don't even know if customers is the right word, to be quite honest with you. So it looks like it's almost a data integrity play using tokenization as the backbone of that. I don't know if it works, but that's my read through on this.
I feel like I need to be digging like a mile into this, and I'm like on the surface right now. It feels like there's a lot more, a lot to look at, but I don't know enough about this to really have an opinion.
And I think the market is telling you that you're spot on. Look at the move here. So they popped by name dropping Forbes. This is really kind of bled back. You know what we would have to do? We would have to read into the actual specifics of the plan to see if this is even something that is feasible. Chris says, what garbage speak? It kind of feels like that. Honestly, it kind of does. It kind of feels like that on the surface here. I don't know if this is feasible at all. Nonetheless, you look at the price action here, big pop past 450, bled everything back. We're doing the best we can to hold on to 3 here. I don't know. Short interest 3.23% with 1.08 days to cover. Average volume just under 1 million. I already read through these.
Jay hitting some absolutely excellent notes on this, and I'm still trying to get past the idea that half of Forbes is getting bought by crypto. I'm just that's hard for me to wrap my head around. It makes sense that this thing has come back in. I'll just say that. Yeah, hard pass. I maybe this gets catches a bid down around the 200 EMA, but if you're going to trade this, just understand what you're getting yourself into. This thing could just come down even further on you.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to. Okay, great. Next here, we're going to actually take a look at Bull and 13. I'm going to step away here and let you start off with Bull here. Izzy wanted to do chart review here on Bull. Okay. So let me actually go to a 15-minute because this is here. So here we go. So nothing's really going on. This is basically holding sideways here and has been doing so since Tuesday. Let me check to make sure that I didn't miss anything here, like an upgrade or a price target. Yeah, I don't see anything going on here. Izzy wanted to do a chart review on Bull. I don't see a whole lot here. I am going to try and do this for you. I'm going to try and zoom in and get you a graphic that looks, there we go. So here you go on your daily chart. 13, I'll be right back. Take it away.
So what was this on Friday? It looks like that was the day where we had a lot of red that day, but it looks like we flushed out some pretty weak hands because not only did we hit an all-time low in the stock, but it seemed like we broke a pretty important support level at 8. And then as soon as we got down to around 760, maybe a little bit beneath that, buyers started coming back in. So that's something we might have started to see there with Bull flushing out some weekends, and then you've got some of the buyers, the bargain hunters, to step in. Looks like we are potentially getting a reversal here. What is this Friday's candle? Yeah. Okay. So Friday's candle could be an indication that we are reversing here and trying to go higher. This is a dragonfly doji, and these you want to see it appear at the end of a downtrend because it can indicate a bullish reversal. So I think that's what we might be getting here. Now, I think we're going to need some confirmation of that too, because this still continues to be pretty weak, and I don't want this to hurt any trade ideas that we have here with this, because it seems like $8 still kind of the line in the sand, and if we lose $8 and start trading under that, then this could continue to be ugly. So just keep that in mind. But if we are going to see some recovery here, first step we're going to want is to recover 850. Seems like ever since we ended up down here beneath that earlier this month, it's been having a hard time recapturing that level. So I think that's the first sign of recovery that I want to see is starting to close above 850. Still have a lot of lagging moving averages bearing down on it. The 20-day SMA, the 50-day SMA. 20-day SMA is, of course, the next one. And that's going to be a level of resistance that we're going to have to clear at some point. But like I said, the first thing we want to see is a recapture of 850.
Okay. Good stuff there. I think Izzy was talking about its earnings here. Looks like they did report.
Go ahead.
Sorry?
No, I just said, I wasn't aware.
Yeah, they did report earnings here. They had an adjusted EPS beat of 7 cents versus the 2-cent estimate, and they beat sales by 20 million. But I think you did a really good job outlining the levels there. I'll be honest. After what we saw with Hood, this stock has been a huge disappointment. There's just no other way to say it, folks. It hasn't really given a whole lot of play. Maybe that'll change. But I mean, it really hasn't given a whole lot of action. This is what the 15-minute chart looks like. I mean, it's just not great. It's not been a great trade, especially compared to Hood.
It might be reversing. That was a reversal candle that we had on Friday. So we'll see. And, I don't know what kind of price action we're going to get before it starts recapturing the levels I outlined, but that's what's going to have to happen. We need to see that 850 get retaken first.
Yeah. Ryan here says, I'm stacking up for the long term. As long as you have a long runway for that, that'll work. Well, I shouldn't guarantee that the price that it will work as a trade. I'm saying that adding it when it's this low for the long term, that's probably smarter than chasing it, frankly. Hades says, I like bull, but I'm staying away until I see the price get above an ascending 8-day moving average. There you go. That's something actionable. Izzy, your view is long-term as well. So that's pretty good. We'll see. We'll see. You know what? If 13's right, if this is putting in a bottom and it's maybe reversing, now's probably the time. I'm sure we'll check back in on this long-term view on bull.
Yeah.
Okay.
The valuation is, the valuation here isn't bad. So, it might be a pretty good buy down here, but we'll have to wait and see. But it really needs to recapture some of those levels.
All right. Jay Harris here asking for levels on Google. How much time do we have? Got 3 minutes. We should have no trouble with that. Google here having another pop. This is up 4% here today. Just another huge move here with Google. We actually talked about this one a little bit earlier. Yeah, I had this here. It's gained 2.38% and surpassed Microsoft. Released Gemini 3 and Nano Banana. Have you played around with Nano Banana yet?
No. What's that about? Because I think I only know of a couple of their AI products. What's that?
So Nano Banana, and I can't even believe I know about this. I know about this because of something here at work. Nano Banana is an AI tool that does a really good job drawing graphics. Things like flow charts or informational graphics or something that you're trying to clearly present to somebody. It actually does a pretty good job. I saw somebody prompted it, show me how to toast in the most complicated way possible. And it drew out this elaborate diagram that kind of looked like a cartoon that you would see in the newspaper. So it appears to be an image creator using AI tools that is ahead of its peer group. But this is really on the back of Gemini 3. That's why Google's trading higher here. Jay Harris was asking for some levels. We got a blue sky breakout here on Google. One of the things that I can try drawing a fib on this. Maybe I'll do that off this initial run here. But it sure looks to me, Jay Harris, I think that if you don't find, if this pulls back at all, because I wouldn't necessarily chase this for a swing or an investment. If Google pulls back at all, If it doesn't hold 3, I got to think 294, 295 is going to be the next spot. By the time we do pull back there, your 20-day might actually be up to that spot. I know we're pretty extended here from the moving average, namely the 200 moving average, which is 100 plus points lower than where we're currently at. A pullback here would be great. I think the 50, the 20 would be levels to look at, but more immediately than that, 294 to 295 seems to be an area there. What do you got, 13, the last minute we have here?
We didn't get any closes above 300 over the past few days before, we popped above it today. So I think that's the hot gates right there where Leonidas and his 300 are. We get through that, then I think we're on the road to Sparta. That means coming down to the 20-day SMA. We're about 285 is. I would say that's going to be the next support area if we lose 300. I do like your 295. I do like 290, but I think 300 and 285 are going to be the more robust levels of support.
Okay. There you go, Jay Harris. Bang, bang, bang. We got less than a minute here. Day Trader says, I used Gemini to help me on sheets, make a formula that calculated the percent from year-to-date closing for a ticker, and it worked great. That's the type of stuff that those AI chatbot tools really work well for. Good to hear. Okay, we are open. Let's have a week. One of my favorite weeks of all time. Let's get it going. And you know what else I'm going to do? I think I probably screwed this up again. So just give me 1 sec here, 13. You can run down whatever you need to run down, but I'm going to try and get the squawk on for us as well.
Well, EPSM is making a move out of the gate here, trying to get above the VWAP. 65 EMA is where it got some support. Not really the greatest amount of volume, so not sure we're going to get that move here yet. Let's see. ENLV starting to move up here. This looks like this wants to go, or trying to anyway. It's got the resistance at looks like at about 170, 168, 170. If we can move through that, 181 is the high in the pre-market. This needs to get a good amount of volume here to go through that level.
Every time I see this EPSM ticker, I immediately think of EPMD. Did anyone listen to EPMD back in the day? Eric and Parrish, Millennium Ducats, really, really good hip hop. Anybody? Am I the only one? Anyway, I just my crazy brain doing its thing. All right, let's see what else we have moving along here.
Oscar trying to clear the high of the pre-market, which was 1670. This starting to get some volume here. Looks like there are some sellers in the way at 1670.
Eric Sermon, yes sir. Chop Coop, yep. Cushley, okay, yeah. We're in good company here. You're not alone. We're in good company. Let's go. That's what I wanted to hear. I might throw one of those tracks on today just because.
Barat mentioned that Tesla's on a rampage.
Yeah, Tesla's actually straight up out of the gate. Good call there, Barat. Sorry, I was singing the song in my head. I'll focus back in here. Here's Tesla. This is ripping out of the gate. Also seeing some accompanying unusual options here, but they're not huge transactions.
CJET trying to get above its VWAP. APSM still getting rejected at its VWAP. We Ride looks like it's going for a ride in both directions. ATON down, but getting support from the 200 EMA. And just waiting to see what ENLV does here with this group of sellers at 169, 170. Some of us are not. What's it going?
On this sold off a little bit. Oh, it's not Charlie. Charlie might be off. I forgot about that.
Yeah, Ondas. There, I don't know if you've got the trend line from when we drew it earlier, but this back up to the trend line. I drew the trend line using October 8th and November 14th. Popped above it briefly, but now we're back here trying to get above it again. Micron is getting mentioned by Bizhan.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep an eye here on some of the tech names. Rigetti, by the way. Hold on. Let me go back to that real quick.
EPSM pushing higher, but still beneath VWAP.
Oh my God, Ryan. Sorry.
WRD, this just put in a new high of 815. Be careful. This thing seems a bit illiquid.
Really quick, that super aggressive options trade in Rigetti was a put trade with a 47 strike. That was a closing order on this impulse move higher here. So looks like trader taking his gains there on that one. That was a huge order, big win. You know what? We're going to do register rings just because, but nothing, no new actionable things there from that sweep. TJX 80 calls.
Oh, nice. I know
going off. That was nearly.
I know people have been looking at that one.
I wonder what that was. It was $151. Maybe that's a closing order. On to 710 now. That's a day high along with Tesla, Palantir, Apple, Netflix, all of the tech stocks higher out of the gate here. Qs are higher. SPY is higher. There is some power green candles out of the open, folks.
Look at that Friday candle with Palantir. That's another, that's a hammer. That's a bullish reversal right there.
Okay, so let me ask you then, the bullish reversal that you're seeing there on Palantir, are you looking for inverses on these moves higher? Are you looking for that at all?
I'm not particularly looking for them or seeking them out, but when I look at a chart and I see it, I'm like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense why we're higher.
Okay, so here's that reversal hammer that you're talking about.
Now, 160 is a bit of a resistance area. We're above that right now, so we'll see if we can hold it. And if we continue to close above that, then I certainly think 170 is coming.
All right, Amazon at the highs. Bitcoin actually trading up off that $86,000 level. It was trying to hold that here all morning. It actually dipped below 85 over the weekend. But here it is. We've seen some strength here early. We'll see if the strength gets sold into.
Oscar trading lower. It's lost VWAP. It's heading towards the 65 EMA. Gels. If this can't recapture VWAP, I think it goes lower here. It might need 5 to 15 minutes to figure it out, but it doesn't look like it's got a whole lot of strength. So we need to see this close above VWAP, or this is going to come back in probably under $1. Let's see what else.
Here's Gels coming up to that VWAP. We'll see how this goes. Lion, I got bad news for you. We are very quickly realizing that the secret to having this pop was just to have you back here. So I am now making an executive decision that you are no longer allowed to leave until we deem it's okay. because as soon as Lion comes back, we got bull candles everywhere. How's bull doing? I'll tell you what, this is going to be the kicker. If bull is trading higher with a bull candle, Lion can't leave. Okay, Lion, we're close. We'll see how it closes here today.
Remember, 850, that's the level.
Yeah, indeed it is. And actually that 850, that does represent a level there from Friday. And we'll see if we have enough strength to challenge that here today. It's good to have you back, Lion. Good to have you back.
We ride went up to 819. That's looking like it could reverse, and it's starting to, but there is some support down at 8. We'll see if it can hold up or not. This thing is also kind of illiquid. EPSM, this couldn't get above the VWAP, went down to the 65 EMA, tested some other EMAs, but still holding above the 65 for the time being. And Gels, just wait and see if it can even get above VWAP and close above it. If not, remember, it's going to come back in, I think. And it looks like ENLV is starting to get going here after a near test of the VWAP. We'll see if this can clear 170.
I'll tell you what, I have the VWAP at 149-ish. I actually have it at 146 here in TradingView. I have it at 149 in my broker. It actually looks like a crystal clear hold of that VWAP test on this bounce. I'm not going to take this here because I feel like I might be chasing this bounce, but if it breaks that 170 area, 13,181, your pre-market high. Yeah. I see a number of you folks are mentioning Google here. Grats to anyone swinging Google here. 316? Looks like it did tap 316 there indeed.
I'm waiting for the Steve Austin glass to break now.
Oh, that is a great sound for the soundboard. And we need to get the first couple of bars of that intro too, like the break. Yeah, no, that 13. That is a project for the Thanksgiving holiday. There we go.
Sometimes the things that I say turn into a good idea.
No, Izzy, no new trades, no new day trades here yet. Again, my outlook, I don't think you were here when I gave my outlook. This week Back in the day when I started back in like 2014, this used to be known as Turkey Crack Week because there were a bunch of these really kind of smaller names that would make these gigantic outsized moves against a backdrop of a lower volume market and some of the big cap. Now we'll see if the AI mega cap trend changes that this year. I'm going to try and be patient. I will say, though, just kind of looking at this, I did scalp Google last week. That should have been a swing. That I should have wanted to hold that for more than a day. That was dumb not to. That would have been a monster swing winner if we had done that, or if I had just done that with calls. That would have been the way to go. No new trades here, though, but we're still managing stuff from last week.
Yeah, I absolutely keep an eye on what Google's doing with this candle here today. Depending on how this closes, this could end up coming back in, gapping down on us. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. You already got the levels if it does.
Okay, so Ethereum here, ETHA. This ETF, this is the iShares Ethereum Trust. 2150 looks to be the spot there if it breaks. ETHT, I think, was another Ethereum. Yeah, that's the ProShares ETF. This is another one that traders in our Benzinga community were trading last week. And in fact, I think it was either Wednesday or Thursday, one of these, there was a pretty good trade in there. This looks like it's holding here. Maybe this is turning around too. Bitcoin actually reversed that move higher, right back down to 86,000. See if that Bitcoin weakness is over or not.
Just looking around with the names that we were looking at today, none of these looking really great. Maybe CJET is setting up for a break over the VWAP, but a lot of these just don't have the volume, it seems.
Chinese state media reporting that President Xi and President Trump will speak on the phone today, at per the squawk. I don't know if that's going to create anything, but that's one more variable to fold into your plans.
Did they say what they're going to talk about?
No, I'm just repeating something I heard there on the squawk. I don't have any other details. I will pass them along as I get them. Open, by the way, this cracked 7 to the upside and above the trend line. Open pumping here on some pretty good volume.
Nice. Yeah, my thought would be it's probably a discussion about Japan. But we'll see. I could be wrong about that too. Gels, here we go. Just pushed over the VWAP. 125 might be the spot where it runs to before it pulls back in. We'll see.
Kathy, I don't know if you were around for Ed Iglinski's segment here this morning. He had commented, I know you're mentioning INSP here, which is Inspire Medical. You've been on kind of this biotech theme the past couple of weeks, and rightfully so. One of the things that Ed was saying is that it seems like the biotech ETFs are probably moving higher on lower rates possibly being around the corner, and he expected that to continue a little bit. So part of me wonders if we're going to have some more opportunities in this theme. Hats off to you for being on top of this. Let us know what else you see out there. INSP, this higher in the pre-market, higher out of the gate here. Looks like 112 is stopping it. The stock up 22%.
EPSM broke over the VWAP, ran up to 463, backed off a little bit of that, but still above the VWAP currently.
Okay, so here we go. EPSM, this is pumping here. This is above that area.
Gel is also reaching 125. Be careful of a pull here. It's either going to break through this 125 and get into the 130s, or it's going to pull back here. I'm anticipating a pullback. Just don't like the way the chart looks, but maybe I'm wrong about that if I can chew through all these 125 sellers.
And that ENLV already pulled, so it's a pretty good mention here. Watch some of these movers if they do, in fact, pull.
Oscar Health back up above VWAP. This might be turning around. We'll see if it can get the volume to keep going.
Gels, this is moving through that 119 here.
Well, 125 is the resistance area. I need to see it clear.
And then 136 after that. Okay.
But I think this could come back in under VWAP. I'm looking at what happened in the what is this, the pre-market. I'm looking at what happened in the pre-market, and this area 125 was big resistance before it finally broke through around 9, and then it came right back in about 10 minutes later. So this 125 area is, I think, crucial for the stock to close over if it's going to see more upside.
And then real quick here, Jay mentioning with bios, there's also a lot of M&A. It's not just rates. Indeed, I was just repeating what our guest had said earlier, but you're right on that, Jay. We are seeing a number of M&A deals in that space as well.
And
Okay.
there's Joe's back beneath VWAP after
There's the pull.
125.
There it is. And here's ENLV. This was the pull that we were talking about earlier. We did see a pull in EPSM back to the VWAP, but that hasn't broken down yet. INHD, this was another former mover, I want to feel like fairly recently. This coming from penny territory and ripping here.
Yeah, Joe's still got a minute left in this candle. We'll see if it can get back above VWAP, but I'm not sure. EPSM, that came back beneath VWAP.
TZA, this is the small cap bear. This actually holding near the lows. This might be one to watch if you're watching some of those small cap trades. TSLL, that's the levered Tesla vehicle. This ripping higher here. Oh, we've got someone that's mad. How about that? Here. Got something for you. Boop.
Let's see here.
Mondays won't be ruined. Sorry, folks.
ENLV coming in beneath its VWAP. And Oscar also losing it here. 15 seconds left in this candle.
Now, that initial pump that we talked about on the market there, that's being sold into. S&P basically back down to even. NASDAQ still higher, but still coming in. And Dow actually has gone green to red. So Dow was up the least here this morning. That's gone green to red. SPY still up by 0.5%, a little bit more. NASDAQ still higher by 1.3%.
And BO is not doing well. Gels is okay. So that's back underneath VWAP. If Gels can't get back above VWAP in the next like 5 or 10 minutes, I think that this is going to come back down to 105 at the least.
Jay here saying the Dow and the transports are red. They were leaders on Friday. Rotation back into tech, and retail is selling off. Okay. Now, I asked Ed what he thought here about retail, coming into the holiday season. Thought that might end up catching a bid here, but some of these have been pretty beat. Now, here's Lululemon still in that mid 160 handle. We talked about this potentially being a good trade back towards 200 if it can really kind of break above and get into that gap. We'll see if Lululemon can do that here, still trading sideways on this. And actually, we are in the positive seasonality trend for this as well.
Maybe we see it kind of take off on Friday.
Maybe. I don't know. Remember, Friday's a half day, so it's going to be low volume that day too. TQQQ, that's going to be another one of those ETFs. That's the ProShares Ultra QQQ to the upside. That looks like this is going to try and go higher. That move back down from tech off the high, that still holding here. We'll see if that bounces and takes another leg higher. By the way, Costco, you were mentioning retail being weak. Costco also on the lowest here today.
So the thing, I know that Friday's going to be a half day and all that, but I think the thing that we're going to want to keep an eye on that might, it could dictate the strength of the market trading on Friday is what the preliminary foot traffic looks like for Black Friday.
Yeah, we do get those headlines every year. I can't remember if last year, if we had a Black Friday foot traffic mover. I'm trying to think if there was any stock that moved off Black Friday. Has anyone seen any good Black Friday sales yet? I know I've got the clothing company that I like, Legends. They had a 30% off, but I haven't seen anything like crazy good yet. So
we're getting some movement here in these mover names. Oscar Health recaptured its VWAP. Gel is still going lower. CJET, that one also recaptured its VWAP as well. I think CJET's looking for 3. That seems to be the big breakout spot. As a matter of fact, there could even be a trend line that we draw here with CJET that it's currently shooting over right now. So we got a breakout from a trend line here in CJET. That might take it up to $3, and then it could back off. If it does that and back tests this trend line, there's a chance that this might push higher just on a technical level. I don't think there's anything fundamental here, but just something to watch for with CJET. Do you see the trend line there?
I think so. I think you're talking about starting at this pre-market high and then running it through right here. This is the trend line break that we just got.
Yeah, so another minute 38 left in this candle. Hopefully this can close above it. And that would be good for a back test later on that sends it higher.
Day Trader says, I saved 55% on a new TV yesterday. That's pretty good.
Nice. Over half off. That's excellent.
Yeah, well, I guess what kind of TV? Lion here saying Amazon should run higher. Yeah, I thought that too. Amazon actually looks pretty strong here today. Izzy, I know we talked about this last week here. Really, I think about 213, 212 kind of being the low point here for Amazon. We're back up here around 225, notably above the 220 area where Bezos was selling. I know this is kind of where we were battling on Friday. We're healthily above that now. This looks like this wants to go higher here.
Amazon remains a best idea ahead of holiday season at JP Morgan. JP Morgan's been pretty dang good, so I'd listen to that.
Sorry, can you repeat that? I missed it.
Amazon remains a best idea ahead of holiday season at JP Morgan.
Yeah, I don't know about you folks. I love Amazon for gifts for the holiday season. I mean, even an Amazon gift card, if you're not sure, someone can always make use of an Amazon gift card. Oh my God, an OLED, dude! You got a 2K OLED TV for $9. That's a good TV. Those Samsung OLEDs are nice.
That's another thing. I haven't realized that OLEDs came down that much. Remember, they used to be 5 figures.
Yeah, they were super expensive, but that's how TV tech. Plasma used to be like that too when that first came.
Oh yeah, remember, that's ancient technology now.
Thino says, I just bought Amazon, so I'm sorry that it's going to drop. I can totally empathize with the feeling there. I totally get it. Did IDAI got mentioned by Zach? I didn't see any news for that earlier here, Zach. Did we get more on that?
It looked like it had some movement earlier this morning. I think it was just some illiquid, trading. Because when I look at the volume there, it doesn't look like it was a whole lot.
Yeah, I do have some fresh news here. TrustStamp unveils a transformative leap in stablecoin architecture to power the Genius Act compliant digital currencies and accelerate regulated payment infrastructure.
I don't know that that's the news we're waiting for, but it seems pretty close, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Let me see if there's any insight we can get from this. So, yeah, this represents an expansion into the financial institution where they already have a foothold. This on the back of some of these stable coins. Anti-money laundering, trust stamps patent.
While you're looking at that, I'm going to take a look at some of these other movers we've been taking a look at. WeRide now above its VWAP, still really low volume, but has this movement up to 814 potentially. EPSM still holding above its VWAP. This could get going here. CJET still trying to get above that trend line. We did trade above it once. We did trade above it this current candle. Now we're just trying to hold above the VWAP.
Interestingly here, really quickly, just to kind of wrap this up on TrustStamp. TrustStamp is uniquely positioned to provide issuers and custodians with privacy, protecting post-quantum ownership validation tools. So that's fairly interesting to me. I know we've kind of talked about the quantum theme on like another track. Looks like this is actually trying to bridge the gap there. That would be something else.
Oscar Health turning up here. It's trying to get over 1650 now. WeRide still getting some more upward movement. 819 is the current high.
Izzy, we're saying, Ryan, Netflix 100, you getting long-term still? No, I'm not. That little peak above the 200-day, that immediately lost it. They tried again to here. Let me just bring this up real quick, 13. Here's what your daily chart looks like on Netflix. We tried to get back above the 200 into the gap. We really couldn't clear the gap. We didn't even actually make the 50. The next test that we tried, which was on Tuesday, November 18th, that was very, very short-lived. This thing, to me, this actually looks like this is going lower here on Netflix. I can't remember what the split-adjusted price you had was on Netflix. It might have been in an 80 handle or an 800 handle when we initially talked about this. I can't remember exactly. But in any case, this, to me, it looks like we're going to test 100. Let's see what happens at 100, Izzy. This chart doesn't look great to me yet.
Yeah, I mean, like I liked 100, but I wasn't I said I wasn't going to be.
Yeah.
Let's see. And when it was before it was split, I said it could come down to somewhere between 1,060 and 1,080, but it wouldn't surprise me if this went down to 1,000. So 100.
And that's 100.
That would be 100. Yeah. So certainly wouldn't surprise me if we still end up going there.
So let's see if we get that 100 test. Netflix bouncing now intraday. This is what it looks like. To me, I would love to see a rollover and a hold of 100. Izzy, that would change this a little bit too.
Jace mentioning that Oracle and Microsoft still look weak. Certainly, Microsoft is still hanging out down here just above the 200-day SMA. I'm in this one for the long term. Have held it for quite a while. I still could see some more downside ahead, but not a whole lot more. I would think that maybe 440 would be about where I would kind of draw the line as far as this goes down. But we'll see if it can hold above the 200-day SMA. I don't know exactly where the bottom is going to be, but if it's lower than here, wouldn't be surprising. I just don't think it's a whole lot lower from here.
Lion chiming in now. Netflix around 100 is a buy for me. So let's see if it trades down, tests 100 and holds 100. That would be awesome.
New highs in Oscar, 1676 on the high. It looks like it might be setting up to go higher too. There's a trend line we can draw from the pre-market regarding the highs here is an idea of where this might go. So if we start with the 615 high.
Which one?
This is Oscar, OSCR.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. And if we draw a trend line on the highs from the pre-market, this may potentially run up close to 18. Just to see if we get that volume expansion here. That takes us up there.
Here you go, Oscar trying to break that pre-market high.
Yep.
INHD, this is now spiking above $1. So INHD is moving higher a little bit. SoFi also on the scanner up just shy of 4% in a 26 handle. That's SoFi. VMNR also up by 4% here. So it looks like we're getting a little bit of a bounce back with some of those names that were weak last week.
Oh, yes, Lion. I still have MRK. I am going to be holding on to that for a while. Even on pullbacks, I'm still going to be holding on to it.
Intel 40 calls getting bought here. So it looks like 950 contracts. The trader spent $651,000. This is a January 2027 leap buy on Intel INTC.
CJET still continuing to get rejected from that trend line we drew. Gels, the rejection is still taking shape. Look, coming down to the support area of 105. We'll have to see if it gets support there. I'm not really confident it will. But meanwhile, Oscar still climbing higher, 1684, now the current high, looking for 17.
Okay, so Eric here mentioning that SanDisk is up nearly 10% here today, actually up just over 10% as it continues to bang highs here. Here's what SanDisk's daily chart looks like. Remember, this pulled back pretty abruptly from 280. So it's pretty good timing if you're able to catch that short move down here on SanDisk. But I think the question that everyone is probably wondering, is this a buy down here around 200? We've bounced about 20 points from that. I've got this trying to next here. It looks like I've got the 15 EMA at 225, and I've got the 9 EMA shortly above that at 228. So do we think this is a more bounce here, or might this be a kind of a like an impulse bounce after that sell-off?
So we do have this reversal candle from Friday that, is we're basically getting some resolution from that today. How high this goes today, I'm not sure. But one thing that we're going to need to see if we're going to go higher, back up into the 250s, we need to recapture this 20-day SMA. That was a big move through it on Thursday. Yeah. And then we closed beneath it and we hadn't recaptured it. So until if we can't recapture it today, that's going to be 3 closes beneath this moving average. And I would think that there's some more downside ahead just on that note. If we do manage to recapture and close above the 20-day SMA, I'd feel a lot more confident about upside. So that's kind of where I'm at with SNDK right now. Got to see what happens with 20-day SMA.
Jay, what were those comments that Morgan Stanley made here? Was that on just memory as a whole? Was it about some of these specific companies? I don't have that in there. I'm sure I can track that down. I just don't have them in here yet. Ondas, more new highs, 750 now. Bang, bang.
Fantastic. Wow, 750. It was just 7 not too long ago. And it looks like we're about to get a move here in ENLV. It's trying to recapture the VWAP. Oscar still climbing higher, looking for that 17 print. It's currently got a high of 1692.
Okay, so they were bullish comments, very bullish comments. Then I would imagine then it's probably someone mentioned Micron earlier here. That's up 6.6%. I would imagine that all of these WDC, Seagate, and SanDisk probably all the same. Yeah, WDC also up higher here. We could expect the same out of STX. This actually the worst performer of those, still up 5%.
Remember that the graphics I was showing you last week about the prices of memory?
Oh yeah, and I watched that video too on how
man.
DRAM just went up too. That's actually tracked like a commodity and everything. That's wild.
It's crazy when they look at the consumer side really in deep, but then they look so deep that they ended up getting into the business side of things. So love those videos. They really do kind of paint a better picture, and they put out some great data that we can use to get an idea of where this market's headed with some of these components, and certainly NAND and flash memory and all kinds of different, volatile and long-term storage. They're going to be in demand for a while.
Okay, Oscar is still moving above that pre-market high, 1692. We'll see if we get a 17 test. I am expecting that there on Oscar.
Here's CJET trying to get above the trend line again. EPSM trying to hold above the VWAP. It's starting to look a little bit weak, but this is a nice looking formation here. I think it will try and get some of these other pre-market highs. Could see 475 as long as we hold above VWAP for the time being. WeRide is about to break its, or trying to break its session high of 819. Large seller in the way at 820.
So WeRide, I smack talked that earlier, but of course that's going to continue to go higher here. This actually doesn't look terrible. The volume's compressing a little bit, so maybe we're near the top end of the move, but so far so good.
Rocket, I have Rocket and Rocket Lab on my list here. Those sold out of the gate, and then they're rebounding and recapturing their VWAPs. So I don't know if it was worth mentioning that the Rocket companies really had a big sell-off on Thursday, and then man, was it an opportunity to jump into that, because now it's above $1.60 from its lows on Thursday.
You know what, 13, I'm all finished with that initial trade here. I've been out of this for a couple of weeks, but you're absolutely right on that reload. And I think 16, 15, if it moves down there and it holds that might be something to look into for next year. Maybe even May, if you're going to play this with options. I know before I was playing this with the March expiry, but I'd probably look towards May now just to see if we can encompass several more rate cuts, just to see if that has any impact on this. But that's a good mention there on Rocket. I missed that re-add. 16 or 15 again, I'll probably take another stab at this.
Looks like we're getting a bit of a pull here in some of the movers. Not all of them, but just some. EPSM, on the other hand, this is still going higher there. It just pushed higher above it was one of the levels I mentioned, but we just broke into a new session high. This thing ran to $5 in the pre-market, could still go there in this session.
Yep. This was a nice move through the VWAP. We consolidated. Now it's liftoff. Looks like it's pushing away from that. $5 is, in fact, the next target, 13, but I'd probably also put maybe 485 up there. Might find some resistance there.
473 has a large seller, so probably in that area too. Remember, this is the one that we drew that box, that sideways channel for. So if we do get this move through 5, I think there's a chance we might get the move out of that box to the upside.
Question here of Rocket and Rocket Lab, which one is likely to succeed long term? Well, I would say that the one that's more likely is Rocket, because that deals with home building as opposed to sending stuff into space. But I think both those companies are good.
Oh, both for sure. Rocket Lab being a very crucial element to national security at this stage. They've got their own launch site just exclusively for sending U.S. defense assets into space. So I think Rocket Lab is going to be just fine.
Ondas making a dash for 8.
I would point to Boeing if you need more proof.
So here's your Ondas move intraday. On the daily chart, this is where it gets interesting. A move above 8 here might set up for a move towards 10. Now, this 8, we're only 19 cents away. This $8 level likely to be in play here. I'm looking at the ladder here. There's still sellers up there. This is going to be a tough for this to really move through 780 all the way up to 8. It's going to be tough, but I'll tell you what, a breakout above 8 would look great on this daily chart. That's ONDS.
Has Meta bottomed out? We
The
talked about
Petrino level.
We talked about that potentially being the case with Meta, because it is certainly turning back up. We did get it looks like it was trying to pull itself back up from
INHD new highs. Here's your Meta chart 13. Sorry.
No worries. It looks like it's been trying to pull itself up from above 585. That seems to be the common area that the past week was trying to find its footing with. Now, looks to me like 620 is the next big level it's got to get over. Why is NVO down so much?
NVO had news this morning. Ozempic fails to slow Alzheimer in trials.
Ooh. That phase 3 trial data did not demonstrate statistically.
Nope.
So that's not good, because that is pretty far along into the clinical trial cycle. And man, that is not as bad if it's like phase 1, but phase 3, they've put some serious money into that trial.
Now, maybe if this pops above 44, we can work on that gap. It's really kind of started at about 48, but that's just looking at the chart there. Novo Nordisk shares are trading lower after its Evoke phase 3 trials data shows that the GLP-1 drugs did not demonstrate statistically significant reduction in Alzheimer's disease progression. So that is your official news headline.
Jay, you're right about Rocket Lab. It makes money. It has revenue, but it's not profitable right now. And SpaceX is very much the same way, but they will get there. It's really going to come down to the Neutron rocket. When that starts, launching their commercial or going on commercial launches, that's going to be the big thing that really starts to turn them net profitable. But they still get a ton of work. Like I said, they're exclusive. They have an exclusive site for the U.S. government. They're going to grow into their valuation.
Cypher Mining, by the way, this is trading higher. I know Kathy here is mentioning the mining stocks, those gold miners. We had Ed on earlier. He said those might be in play too. He suggested JNUG maybe for that. Cypher Mining, this is Bitcoin mining. Shares are trading higher after JP Morgan upgraded the stock from neutral to overweight and raised the price target to 18 from 12. That's not just a price target raise. That's an actual upgrade too.
EPSM still climbing. I drew a bit of a trend line based off of the price action from Friday and the pre-market today. You see the trend line there from the highs of the regular session on Friday and the highs of the pre-market. I drew a trend line there to give us a bit of a target to go for it with EPSM. It looks like it's heading right for it. That would put it about 490, 485 to 490, where it could go from here. So I might find resistance there.
I added that trend line to the sheet. We'll see. And then for those of you looking at Ondis, a pullback really quick. This comment here regarding, I feel like Ondis needs a little pull to the VWAP. So if you're trading Ondis back and forth here today, I probably wouldn't. I know we're breaking above 8 right now. A pullback would probably be more prudent to kind of wait out here for a day trade. For what I'm trying to do here, I'm just long and strong with a little bit longer time horizon. I'd love to see this continue to trade higher than this. I want to see a move towards 10. And if we do that before December here, the calls that I thought I was going to lose out on are going to be popping. I've got the 11 calls for December. And I thought those I was going to, oh my gosh, I'm almost back to even on those now.
Trying some of these movers are trying to make some moves here. ENLV trying to get above 155. Oscar trying to find that 17 handle. Gels is trying to rebound, but it doesn't. I still get the sense that we're going to see 105, 106 before we see the VWAP again. Maybe I'm wrong about that. EPSM, this is still climbing up towards the trend line we just drew. And all the other ones don't look like they're doing a whole lot at the moment.
Daniel's mentioning ENLV. that was one that really kind of broke down. We did the exclusive on this. This sold off, but it says since recaptured its VWAP at 147.
Yeah, that's the one that's trying to get above 155 right now.
Yep, exactly. We'll see if we get that here.
We just need to see just a little bit more volume expansion, and then I think it takes that up. But there are a lot of sellers up above this price, so that volume is going to have to continue if it's going to get through all this supply that's above it.
And right out of the open, this volume was pretty much mostly selling volume. It's starting to tick over. We'll see, though. And I have probably some flippers in there from the pre-market, especially since I showed you how to take advantage of that using Benzinga Pro.
Yeah, I think a lot of what you're seeing right here is just all these people from 155 to 181 going, oh, crap, I need to get out of this thing. And now
here we go. There's your pop above 155.
Yep.
Now the volume candle on that did not look outsized, but that was a decent move.
No, yeah, and let's see. Here we go. Now we're starting to cook here.
There we go. Right to the pre. It's going to halt here.
Perfect.
It's going to halt here at 181 if it holds. Yeah, they pulled it off that spot. No halt. And there was some pretty decent volume that traded at that level there.
And
see if it goes right back on.
181 was the pre-market high. So it went right to the pre-market high, almost halted, but that supply got chewed through. The bidders got chewed through, it looked like.
What's amazing here is that what you were just saying about needing the volume here.
It's like they heard the call. I'm going to get a phone call from the SEC, aren't I?
I don't think you did anything wrong there, but you were just outlining exactly what it needed there. Right.
How did you know that was going to happen? I'm just kidding. And now here it's coming back down to the trend line. Well, I don't think you've got it drawn there, but it's coming down to this trend line, back testing it after it broke over it. I drew the trend line from the 181 pre-market high through the the 171 session high, and that's what gave us the trend line that we just broke through and are currently back testing. Okay, so that was fantastic. Let's see what else we can find that I can maybe talk about and make a move. Yeah, that was funny. Okay. Yeah, I know. Hey, Jane, we were all on the same page. We were like, oh, it's going to halt because you had this. It stopped, and then it's kept going again once that all those bids got eaten up.
Yeah, I wanted to watch it immediately just to see if it would hold there.
We were getting a question about ASTS from Zealer. If I want to look at that, take a look at ASTS.
You want me to pull it up for you?
Sure. So he was asking us, he's looking at picking it up, but it looks like it'll head down a bit more, and we just want to know our thoughts on it. Yes, my only trade was ENLV. I took some when we opened, added beneath the UAP, and then I sold out on that pop.
I was a little too slow to ENLV. Little too slow.
Okay, so ASTS. I see how it does kind of look like it could go down some more, but it also looks like it's trying to find its footing. If you look at the price action from earlier this year when we got above, let's say $40, it kind of has traded sideways. It traded sideways for a while before we had this October rally. So that price action there, I think, creates a little bit of a demand zone. So you could kind of put a rectangle around that area and extend it out to where we are today. And that kind of gives you a bit of an area that we're in that we need to get out of. And I think once you get confirmation of getting out of that box, that sideways channel, you'll know whether or not it's a good time to get into this or not. Because if we break to the downside, then obviously not. But if it breaks out and starts to hold above that channel, that would be a good sign that we're potentially going higher. ASTS, this has been a tough one. And I think the big thing for me when it comes to this one on the fundamental side is they need to start having that revenue show up that they've been talking about from all their different clients, like Verizon, AT&T. We need to start seeing that revenue show up, because if it doesn't, then I think I'd be concerned about even this holding 40.
INHD, by the way, this rip to the highs, this is halted at 140. So this is another one of our movers here. This took one reset break when it pulled, immediately set some new highs. Grats to anyone that was in INHD here. This halted.
You know,
Just think where this came from, folks. Stock's up nearly 100%.
hey,
Think about trimming.
Rocket, RKT. If this gets some more volume, it looks like 1765 is a pretty good spot for a breakout here. That's we did get a pop out of the gate up to 171, but immediately came back in. We were trying to get above this area in the pre-market, couldn't do it. Trying to get above it right now. I would think that 1765 is a big resistance area that if we get over it, could see a little bit of a move, like a bit of a run.
ENLV pulled off that 181 spot back down towards VWAP at 151.
Yeah, at least they have revenue, right, Jay?
Kathy's saying, hopefully I can get out before it pulls. You should be able to on the next move, on the next open here. A halt resumption, excuse me.
I mean, compared to Rocket Lab, Jay, this is I don't like this anywhere as close as I like Rocket Lab. This one kind of relies on Rocket Lab's type companies, and I think they're getting these satellites sent up with the Falcon 9 by SpaceX. But future launches for AST Mobile could be featured with the Neutron rocket by Rocket Lab. But I have a lot of concerns about ASTS. All right, let's see here. What else is looking pretty good? We're going to get this move in Oscar or what? EPSM still trying to climb for that trend line that we drew. We Ride is not riding anywhere.
Sorry, handling some stuff there for work.
What is my opinion on SHIP?
Let me know if you want me to go to that 113.
Okay, I'm just going to take a look at this real quick. Looks like they just had earnings earlier this month. Pretty good adjusted EPS beat. I mean, feel free to look at something else if I'm
yeah, I am. I wanted to take a look here. WTF, this one that was a halt fest earlier. Looks like, come on. Let's go. There we go. Looks like this is kind of coming back in. INHD, we'll see what happens. That was halted, by the way, 10:13. So we're looking at 10:18 for a resumption time on INHD. TSLL, what a rip on that Tesla move higher. Marcus, that's who I'm guessing. MBIS, that was a really good mention there.
SHIP is interesting. It's got a pretty good dividend. The earnings they just had look pretty good. I don't know enough about this company to really have a great opinion on it, but it is interesting to me, and I do like the some areas of the shipping play. This one operates mainly in dry bulk, which we're certainly going to see a lot of that continue to get moved around across the globe. Float's not bad either. Financials look okay. I would have to dive into this some more to see if there's anything that would concern me. But it on the surface it looks all right. It doesn't look bad at all. But I would have to look under the hood a little bit more, if you know what I mean.
Steady user, thanks for the tip. Regarding Roblox here, you're asking long term. Are you asking for what the chart says? Are you asking for like actual thoughts and things of that nature? I can give it to you here. As far as the chart goes, with this massively needed pullback right now, unfortunately, we've really lost the 200 and we're really showing, I guess today is the first day it's really bouncing. To me, it actually seems like there's some more downside here. 80 would be the first level and then maybe 75. And then beneath that, I've got 65 for your 500 day. On a more fundamental note here for Roblox, I think they've got some problems on the horizon.
Yep.
With just some of like the ecosystem and kids being harassed by predators online and the whole 9 yards. So overall, until this chart really kind of shows that a bottom has been put in and we feel good about that bottom, this to me is just a no touch in either direction. We've already pulled considerably from the 140 highs down here to $89. maybe the big move down has kind of already happened. I don't know what's going to happen with the fundamental issue with the predators on their system and all that. 13, I don't have kids. Maybe you can speak to this a little bit more. But my outlook on Roblox not great here. In order to trade this, I would need to see an A+ chart setup, and I don't see that.
I certainly don't either. And one of the things we were talking about with that whole situation with the child predators is we talked about this back toward the end of August, beginning of September, and we were mentioning how there are going to be a lot more lawsuits coming. The stock said, "Nah, it'll be fine," and continued to go higher up to 140, a little bit higher than 140, and then the pain started happening once it couldn't go much higher. And now we're starting to see a lot more of those lawsuits come in. This thing has lost the 114 support that it had back in August when we were talking about this, and it is continuing to go lower. We have lost the 200-day SMA in the process. I could see this coming down to 76 before there's actually any real support coming in. But even then, I'm not sure I would like it. This is a money-losing machine, and it has just been that way for a while. But and I know, Jay, at least it has revenue, but this thing just bleeds cash. And I've never really liked this stock. I have given different opinions on where it could go. I told one of our happy hour the chatters that back in earlier this year around I think it was April that this could go up to 80, and it went to 140. So. I think when it comes to this one, this might see some short-term relief, but I'd be really concerned about it not being able to get back above the 200-day SMA.
Yeah,
and Align is right. It's a horrible company, I think.
Yeah, I mean that's and you guys actually have personal experience with them. Amanda here says, "I've never had a green trade on Roblox." Now that's saying something. As far as I'm concerned, the stock doesn't exist. There you go. Happy Victory Monday to you, Amanda.
Jay, I've been getting asked about some of these shipping names. And I haven't really dove into what's going on with that. I've kind of been more on the side of what's going on with the data centers and the power plants that we're all getting proposed and also being built currently, because I think those are going to continue to be interesting. But I'll also look into these shipping names because that is an important aspect of some of the stuff I'm looking into, especially with this. Texas Gulf Link that's being built off of Freeport, Texas.
Okay, INHD, this is open that went higher, 160 looks to be that area. It's kind of chopping around here up at 150. Kathy, did you ring that register? Hopefully I can get out of this before it pulls. Looks like you probably had an opportunity there, Kath.
So we're being asked about levels for Data Vault. One that really stands out right now is $3. That has been a pretty interesting area of support and resistance. And let me kind of just paint a little picture for you. So back in October, when we had this first run up to $3, it was initially rejected. You can see that from the daily chart. Came back down, found some support around 160. The next time it went up to $3, we actually blasted through it. I don't know if there was news that day or if this was just kind of a risk-on day, but it ran over $3, closed above it, and ended up going higher the next day, but it was getting rejected at $4. After that rejection, we started to lose $3. Initially getting a support on October 28th, and then losing it the next day. Here we are, back up after getting support from the 50-day SMA. To recapture $3. I don't know that we're going to do that or not, because I think that's still a pretty heavy resistance area. So as far as levels go, based on the price action we've had for the past 2 months, 350, and 4 look like the biggest resistance areas to me.
Okay, and real quickly here, Data Vault, regarding, he had a question here on some of the tokenization here. Provider of data it has the $7 million minting deal and 30% perpetual royalty partnerships with the Tanzania-based MTB Mining Limited, setting the stage for Data Vault AI to believe its first major steps towards monetizing how mineral resources are verified, documented, and brought into global commerce with a unified transaction ledger. So here's what I'll say about this. First of all, this would be pretty good, right? You see, we'd be more accurately be able to track the origination of some of these rare earth minerals. But let me give you something else here. if you were able to do this for gemstone extraction, you would instantly increase the size of your total addressable market exponentially. I think it would actually be more than a double. If you found some really good, I mean, if you started with critical minerals and then you were able to maybe kind of keep this track record going with gemstones and things that you extract out of the ground, this would be extremely helpful for provenance tracking and making sure that those gemstones are legitimately pulled from the ground and not being synthesized like we're seeing in some of the diamond market now. I feel like if this works, there's more that this can expand to. That's just a guess. But I think that this project here, if this works, this could actually be pretty good for it. I don't know if it's going to work. It's probably years away, and there's probably a lot that has to happen between now and then. Just saying that I could see that proliferating and expanding.
So I've got to get to some of the questions here.
Get to them.
Jay, okay, so there was a chart that JC Parrott's put out. So many names are weak today. One thing that I watch for when I'm looking at the shipping names is the Drury World Container Index. That gives me a really good gauge on shipping rates and how well I think a particular company could do. I use that as part of a tool. That's helped with the Zim trade quite a bit because they do their contracts negotiations in the first couple of quarters of the year, and it's based off of shipping rates. So no, I haven't really dove into shipping names lately, but being that rates are down, they might be interesting in the not too distant future. I wanted to also get to what Matthew Gritter's question was about Fermi. Yes, I have looked at this one. I've been trying to. This is part of some of this thing I'm trying to put together here to give us an idea of some plays out here in Texas that we can look at. But FRMI, this thing has gone nowhere but down. I don't want to touch this yet, but eventually I think this will be a good one. They're not expected to have any positive operating revenue for probably another 12 months. So this could continue to eat through cash, but they are expanding. They are using GE turbines. They're also building a nuclear power plant there. This is a 5,800 square foot campus that's going to be dedicated to hyperscaling, and it is it could be massive. So yes, I have looked at it. I do. Yes, it is the old Texas governor. That is what's his name? I know you're talking about, but I think he's the CEO of this. Gosh, why can't I think of his name? I don't think he's the governor. He was. This is going to bother me now. Hold on a second.
You want to look it up here real quick. I want to address a couple of things. Number one, just kind of looking at the S&P here. Here are your top performing stocks in the S&P. CNC is right at the top. Pete's dancing on the table there. Yep. CNC at the top. Broadcom, WDC, Micron follow that. Tesla, Google, Molina Health after that. What's interesting here is that Google and Merck, the stocks that are really on pace to trade higher than what they average than their average volume there. And then one other thing that I wanted to get to here, Zach saying apparently real gems are over. You can get much cheaper, perfectly fine fake ones. Only classic pearls and historical are worth anything now. That is absolutely incorrect from all of the industry professionals that I talked to, and I worked in that industry as at one of my last jobs. That is not what I am hearing, Zach. I'd be curious as to where you got that. There is absolutely a premium being paid by things that are real and actually have rarity. The synthetic gemstones, whether they're diamonds or otherwise, have no rarity at all. They are not rare. There, you can't even price them. You can't even price them because the resale on them is so poor. So I would push back on that entirely, Zach. I don't agree with any part of that. I'm sorry.
Thank you, guys. Yes, Rick Perry. You're right. That is the former governor of Texas. He's not the CEO of the company. He's a co-founder of the company. So yes, and yeah, I am going to be getting more into FRMI, and there's a whole list of other names. Ryan, we talked about it on Thursday. I've been trying to put something together for the happy hour so we can maybe make some plays off of this. But
that'd be awesome.
But I really love what's going on out here. There's a whole bunch of big infrastructure projects taking place out in Texas. I mentioned the Freeport, Texas. That is going to be the site of the largest deep water crude refueling station. That's going to be the Texas Gulf Link. It starts at Freeport, goes at 30 miles out, and that is going to be the largest deep water tanker port on the Atlantic shore side for the United States. So big developments happening there. Lots of freeways being built. We're expanding big time out here. So I'm really looking into this because there's going to be some really great bond plays as well.
ENLV here, this might be giving it up. We are back down to the initial support that bounced this thing. I'd be careful with this one. If you're in it, this trade might be over. 138 was the low point that I had prior. We're 3 cents away from that. INHD here looks like this did 160 was it. This is pulling back a little bit. We'll see if this firms up. What do you got, 13?
I was just going to say thanks, Jay, for the list of shipping names. I've got several of these on my list right now, but there's a couple that I don't. So I appreciate that. I'm going to add that to my list. Thank you very much. And gosh, I think we're all caught up now.
I think we are too here. On this more new highs. So we talked a little bit. I think it was Zach that mentioned the Petrino level here. So here's Ondas. So this, I think I know what he means by the Petrino level here. So this is right up here, right around 8, right? Where this is, just to kind of carry this out, this is where people that sold before thought, oh crap, I might not be able to get it again. And now it might start pushing higher. I'll be honest, as far as a daily chart goes here, I would love for us to close above 8. I would love for us to close above 8. Start this next run higher here with a series of higher lows and higher highs. That would be great. We got a lot of time left in the session. We've seen Ondas pull after having a good move here in the morning. Let's see if we can close above 8. That would be extremely good for Ondas here today.
No, Jay, I haven't even finished season 1 because the daughter and the wife just irritate the hell out of me. So, whenever there's a show that's like really good, it's really good drama, and then they bring in like an element of the show that sucks, it really is hard for me to hold on to watching that show. So unfortunately, I still have to get through season 1. And Billy Bob Thornton's great, as he always is, but man, the daughter and the wife just irritate me. So sorry, I'm not caught up on that.
I'll tell you what, I've been told everyone that watches Landman says that it's amazing. Shannon, who sometimes visits our channel here, she has recommended Landman very, very highly. I haven't seen it either. I got to do that though.
So now it's called Landman. Yeah. What are the shipping names are on my list? Let me pull that up because I have shippers and I have ship builders too.
Open more highs now, man.
Let's see here.
AEHL. Someone mentioned this earlier. We didn't really get to it. This might not be done here today either. Boy, I tell you what, the ones that I was looking at and kind of stalking for a trade here didn't really ended up working, and the ones that did were not ones that I had on my radar. A little bit behind here today.
So, and these aren't ones I'm particularly looking to buy, but interestingly enough, I do have ship on there, and a bunch of these other names. But here's another one that I have, Old Dominion, NMM. Is Navios. It's a pretty long list, so I don't want to flood chat with it. But a lot of what Jay and some other folks have been saying are pretty much up on this list as well. SB. So
grab up 8.5%. No news for that move.
Boat is an ETF that I have on here. Also BDRY, BDRY. That's a dry bulk shipping ETF.
More new highs on Ondas.
I've got several different ones, but also a lot of the ones that you guys are naming too. Just give them some.
ENLV, more weakness here. I think D. Worrell went to a hold from a buy on this.
All right. Looking at some of these names.
Another bio here, new highs. Anvis, ANVS. This is a Novus bio. This is the first time I'm looking at it here today, but this actually set a new high after taking out the impulse move high.
Lion, my family doesn't get on my nerves like that. Not like those two in the show.
Open also near the highs here. How did Nvidia? Okay, so Nvidia actually a little bit weak. So maybe we're seeing some more. This is not selling off, but maybe we're seeing some more rotation here. Volume looks a little light on Nvidia, so maybe not.
Open coming up to the 20-day SMA.
I'll tell you what, this was of the last couple of weeks, the scalp on Google should have been a swing. That's my biggest mistake. I would have not even had to have been active. This trade would have been so good. That's right, though.
Google's doing great. I like it.
Same guys who like Oscar, like Grab and Hims too. Yeah, the Grab one, that's kind of been floating around here. I got a couple of people at work that like this too. Grab actually a nice day. This plus 9%. I didn't see any fresh news on this. 540, which is an area we were at last week before really kind of giving it up on Thursday. See if we can get back there.
So yeah, Open Door Technologies, the 753 is where the 20-day SMA is. Keep that number in mind.
BRB, 1 sec.
There could be some resistance at that spot. Let's see. We were looking at something else. NV. Okay, I'm gonna look at NVIDIA. I haven't taken a good look at that today. So we're kind of still within the range from Friday, but we're not inside the real body anymore. Still looks a little weak to me. But $71. Oh, well, sorry, 171 is still the support area that I have to the downside. Maybe I should start drawing a new one because it looks like we're getting some support around 176, 177, somewhere around there. I'd have to look at some smaller time frames, but 171 is the next big support area I have, so could still end up coming down there a little bit more. We are, let's see, how high are we off of these highs here? So this thing essentially is corrected, NVIDIA. We've come down, actually almost entered bear territory on Friday, but we've come down a little bit more than 16% off the highs. Let's see, will there ever be resistance on Tesla today? Oh, sure. I imagine there will be.
I mean, it keeps trading up, though. Tesla's been strong out of the gate. Here's your chart.
Let's see here. Where is going to be the resistance? Hey, 425. Hey, maybe 420, but I think I like 425 a little bit better. Either one.
AI up 10% today.
It could be in that entire range, 420 to 425. That's where the resistance could be. And the reason is that at 420, yeah, you do have some areas that some days where it was using that as support and resistance. You also have some other areas that are just above that are using some higher levels in that range as support and resistance. So that's why I like both. That whole range could have the price could run into resistance somewhere in there. So that's where I would kind of peg it at, between 420 and 425. Will there be a Fed cut in December? That's the question, isn't it?
75.7% think yes.
Yeah,
this it's amazing how much this has changed just over the past week or two.
I know. Then on one day you had them, everybody freaking out, and then the very next day it just completely turns around. I don't know. I don't know.
And the other thing, 13, is that you're getting these Fed speakers. Clearly, there's division there, right? Because you're getting some of them that are saying, hey, we really want to make sure that inflation is under control and moving down to our 2% objective. And we just don't feel great about that yet. Others are saying the job market is their primary focus. Williams over the weekend said that the rate cut's not off the table. So there's clearly indecision there. And I don't know if we're going to really get a clear picture. We'll see what the market sniffs out ahead of this. But do you feel good about making a call either way? I know you said they shouldn't have raised they shouldn't have cut in October and they should in December, but that ship sailed already.
Yep, that ship sailed. So we got the 2 rate cuts. So I don't know if they're going to cut in December or not, but my opinion is I don't think they should. And the reason is for that is because we're having Japan talk about them raising rates. Well, we're talking about lowering rates. we could get an unwind of the yen carry trade again. And that wasn't good for the market the last time that nearly happened. So I think it would be better if we did this, and I've been saying this for a little while now, a systematic quarterly rate cut cycle so that we don't exacerbate things, and gives central banks around the world more time, especially in Japan, to make their next moves and figure out what we're doing. But that's the thing. We're going to have our rate cut before Japan makes their move. So if we cut, and Japan's already talking about raising and they raise, then that could be pretty bad for markets. I don't think they should. I don't know what they're going to do, but in my opinion, I don't think they should.
Yeah, there you go. Lion, take care of yourself. Good to have you back. Hopefully you're not clocking in for another 17-hour day. And I still didn't get an answer. What kind of food does your restaurant serve? I'm interested in. We're a food channel here, like when we're not talking about stocks, just in case you forgot. So I'd be curious on that. INHD, by the way, more new highs here. Kathy, I think that your last update, you had trimmed 3/4 and you're holding on to 1/4 of your position just to see what it does. That is textbook trading of these smaller movers here. And look what it's doing for you. It's trying to drive a little bit higher. Really good stuff there, Kath.
Well, that's a 2x from this.
Sure
move.
is.
Well done.
Sure is.
Well done. On a day like
This has been halted a few times, so.
Amanda, hi. You trade a lot of CrowdStrike from a price to earnings standpoint. It's expensive, and in my opinion, it's capitally inefficient at $500 a share. What do you think should the price be, Amanda, if you don't mind me asking? And let's just look at some of these movers again. Ooh, wow, EPSM. This thing kind of gave up all hope, didn't it? Well, it's down at a support area where there's some demand. Let's see if that demand is strong enough to lift it back up. So far, it's not looking like it's good enough. The volume has really fallen off too, because as somebody was also mentioning, we have entered the time where people get up from their desks, the few that are there, and go and have their lunch and start talking about lunch and all this other stuff that has to do with food that we like to bring up every now and then. So that's probably what we're going to end up seeing here for for a little while, is just some more illiquidity and a lot less volume.
ENLV, EPSM are two E movers today, if you will. Those really kind of coming in now. That might be done. And then I think it was Jacob asked earlier about IREN. This is another one of those high flyers here. IREN actually having a pretty decent day, but this is after a huge pullback. Here's the $64,000 question with IREN. Do you think that the support level of 40 was any good? If so, I really think we need this 47.5. Really think we need to recapture that. And then ultimately we need to get back above 50. IREN, one of these stocks, folks don't think it's really going to get back up towards those highs. I don't know how I feel about that. But right now with IREN, this to me actually looks like kind of a bounce after some significant selling. I'm not ready to say that this turns up and goes higher from here.
So several things here. Chester wants us to look at ZJK. I know that's a China name that has moved before. Hello, Wisdom. Good to see you. Barat, we did talk about Roblox earlier in the show here about 20 minutes or so ago. You might want to set the back up if you want to get our take on it, but it does look like it could be.
I think he's saying that it actually went to the level that we discussed. That's all he's saying here. Do you see Roblox? It's almost at the level you discussed a few days back. So we got asked another question here about Roblox today, which is what 13 is referencing about the segment earlier in the show. But we have been talking about, I haven't been on this recently since it's been rolling over. I was trading this a little bit on the bull side on the way up, but not since some of that other news came out. Don't trust it at all.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of a great opinion on ZJK. This might go up to its 200-day SMA, which is at 410. That's $1 away. So that's a possibility, but there is some supply that it's got to move through from about 350 to 4. So that might provide some resistance in that area before it hits the 200. And then Amanda getting back to us, if she had to buy and hold, she would want it under 330 a share. This is
this CrowdStrike CRWD? Yeah.
Yeah. In the meantime, she just sells the calls and puts and has a good 4 rank, an IV rank. I'm sorry, 4 rank. I'm reading Roman numerals. A good IV rank. So I saw the news, Chester. I did. It's tough. It's tough to trade. But I think when it comes to where there's some sellers hanging out at, you can see from where the stock used to be that I would put that those areas of sideways consolidation as having a good amount of sellers probably trying to get out of their position, and that's why I think that 350 to 4 area is probably going to see a lot of resistance.
Here,
But Amanda, 330. Okay, I like it.
Tell you what, Amanda's been spot on with CrowdStrike since really that outage where we talked about it, and I believe, Amanda, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that you were telling us that was a buy that day. That was one of the better buy days. Here's the ascending wedge that I have going here for CrowdStrike. This is the chart that I'd be looking at here. If we did continue to pull back here, I would think 460-ish looks to be about all you'll get if it stays in the same trend.
If it's going to head down to 330, I got to think that it's going to come down to 300.
Me too. I would imagine at that point, that support level is going to be way too close for it not to test that. And
that rising wedge, that would be fantastic if we did manage to get that to resolve. So with rising wedges, these are bearish. It's just a matter of when that bottom part of the wedge gets broken. And once that happens, you're going to want to see the price try to back test it and re-enter it. And if that fails, then we're in
your short entry.
Then we're in business and we're going down. Yeah, that's it. Wis mentioning OSRH.
That was on the, it's a penny stock, but it was on the scanner all morning here today. It does look like it's trying to get back above 71 cents here. 80 cents was its high from Friday.
I forgot what I remember I think we looked at
Yeah, we've looked at this one before. Actually, I think we've looked at this when it wasn't a penny stock too.
This was a SPAC, wasn't it?
Healthcare Outcomes, that I don't remember.
Let's see here.
Medical device system distribution in Korea.
It was Bellevue Life Sciences Acquisition Corp. That's what it was. So it was a SPAC merged on. How about that? It merged on Valentine's Day. What a lovely story.
Eric here, not to stop your hallmark moment here, but real quick, Barrick Mining. We talked about some of the gold miners earlier. I didn't even know that this was news. Just heard it courtesy of the squawk there. Barrick Mining shares are trading higher following a report suggesting that the company is in negotiations with the government of Mali to end a 2-year dispute to rein control of the Lulo Gunkoto operation. Also, Bank of America upgraded the stock from neutral to buy and raised the target from 38 to 48. Barrick Mining looked like this is I guess a dispute that they are close to the end of resolving. This is an interesting spot here on the chart. This looks like this is going to try and go higher. That's ticker B, Barrick.
Well, how about $43 as a target? If you look at, there you go. How do you like 43?
Yeah, I like 43 a lot, 13. And then after that, I would say 55, maybe that round number 50. I like 43 a lot. That would be
the earliest target I'd be shooting for the upside if I was going to play this one. I think if you're trying to get this for a longer hold, that I don't know that you want to be buying up here and necessarily chasing this, but for a trade, that might be a good spot. 43. So. Maybe, and it just got a price target raised to 48, so it looks like you certainly could get that print.
INHD still holding its strength here. I've been worried about this pulling since we were at a 140 price, but more here on INHD. It's like 173 was your high print there.
Yeah, Black Mamba, I don't disagree with that whatsoever. If CrowdStrike's going to go 300 to 330, then there's probably something else pulling down the market as well. We can see some sectors like cybersecurity, individually take a hit, but for that kind of move down, if it happens, in a short period of time, I agree. That's going to be something that has more to do with the broader market as well.
Wisdom here says Ryan needs everyone to chip in and get him Babel for Christmas. No, Wisdom, I want the Ego Lithium leaf blower. Remember, we talked about that. I don't want Babel. His royalty.
Oh, gels.
His royalty needs more language to speak the ones to Wisdom. I don't know where you get half this stuff, and I don't think you're getting it from the blunt. I think that you're reading something or watching something else that's has your creative juices going. We don't need any of that.
Gels after
Gels.
getting rejected.
Bring us back here.
After getting rejected at the VWAP a couple of times, it finally got enough volume to move through it here. So still now up, it went right up to that 125 area again and got rejected. Now, if this can hold above VWAP, we can close this candle above VWAP, we might be able to get back above or go higher than 125. So just something to watch for. MACD is curling. Momentum swinging to the upside. Let's see what we end up getting here with gels. We could see higher prints than 125. We just need to see some more volume expansion. We need to hold above this VWAP.
I'm just going to take a look at JNUG here. So we talked with Ed earlier. He had said early today that the miners might actually be a good play. Look at Ed wasting no time. JNUG here. 11-point move, almost 8%.
Wheaton was underneath 100 earlier this morning.
That's WPM, right?
Yes, sir. This one, this one actually kind of looking a little weaker relative to some of the other names. So don't necessarily think this is a trade up here. I think the time to get into this was, back when it was in the 50s. And this thing still has a dividend, but the dividend not nearly as attractive up here at this valuation. But still, I think was one of the best silver names. Lots of it's a silver streamer, so it doesn't have the leverage of owning the mines, but it keeps the production.
Arraignment for that NBA gambling scandal today. I forgot about that. It'd be interesting to see what happens in that. Nothing to do with stocks, though. Just want to see what happens to Chauncey. NUIA, this is another one that we have traded recently. This is kind of a slow grind, not a whole lot going on today, but this is actually just higher on the back of the tech and AI trade. By the way, that the market still at highs across the board. Doesn't matter what you pick. Dow, Q, SPY, all near highs. You know what I did want to do, 13, is I wanted to check into the volume. We were kind of anticipating lower volume here this week. I'll be honest with you. You've been quicker than I have. I've missed a couple of things that have set up today, and I was not prepared for the right stocks, unfortunately, here today. But does kind of feel a little bit like this is a holiday week. 21 million shares here versus an average of 78 million. By comparing the volume candles, sure looks like it's a little bit lighter. I think we're in for a lighter week this week, 13. I think we're all right saying that.
Yeah, and we were just getting a question here too about.
Hang on. Zach trimming on this for the first time. Register ring.
All right.
Chewbacca loves triple-digit gains.
Paid.
Get paid, baby.
So Michael Anthony was asking last week, Bitcoin selling off and the markets were following that sell-off. What has changed from last week? Because I think he's kind of wondering, why are we suddenly getting a big reversal and trading back up? What's changed? Well, really, it's come down to just what spews out of the mouth of Fed governors, really. As whenever they start talking about something, lately the market's been paying really close attention. And on earlier in the week, they were talking as if we weren't going to be getting any rate cuts in December. And then on Friday, I believe it was Williams, he started talking about, there might be a possibility, there might be some room. He kind of lifted the sentiment that there's still a rate cut on the table. So that flipped everything around, and we're kind of getting more of a continuation into that because Bitcoin has been more or less the big indicator of risk on or risk off. And last week it was very much risk off, but with the end of the week comments by the Fed members, it seems to be that it's back to risk on for the time being.
Here's what I would say. Here's a look at the Bitcoin daily chart, just to kind of give you an idea of the ferocity of this move lower here. By the way, I know we talked about this before. The McRib signal, it failed us this time. It failed bigly. That's another story. We can wrap that up some other time. But the McRib indicator failed for Bitcoin this time around. Market calendars. Here's the thing, though. I think the big takeaway here, what happens over the next couple of sessions? Because we are having this repricing and this move down. Now, we did overshoot the bottom end of this area. Today, we're bouncing back into this area. So two things here. Number one, I want to see if the purple shaded area and the range here is about 85K to 90K. Yeah, 85K to 90K, this 5K range in here. I want to see what happens. Where does the price close in relation to that? But on this move down, we've had a couple of these days where Bitcoin has bounced only to get shellacked the very next session. And so I don't want to draw too many conclusions here yet. Let's get some more data on this. This to me, you know, in absence of other news here, this almost looks like a dead cat bounce.
What's funny about McDonald's and the McRib is that on Monday, November 10th, the day before,
I thought you were going to say it was that the patty looks like ribs and there's no bones in it. That's what I think is weird. Anyway, keep going.
On Monday, we got a reversal candle, and then Tuesday, when the McRib came out, McDonald's had a really good day. And it not only did it have a good day, but it moved through the 20, the 50, and the 200-day SMAs and closed above them. And we continued higher for the rest of the week, finally selling on Friday. So I don't necessarily think the McRib trade didn't work, but it didn't lift the entire market like I think that you're getting at, right?
I mean, it definitely did not work. Like Bitcoin has, like the McDonald's commentary in there is great, and that's fine. And it's more directly connected to it. But the way that this was spun up is that after the McRib is available, Bitcoin makes a substantial move higher. Not only did it not do that, it made a substantial move lower. So to me, it seems like the McRib indicator here just for 2025, just no bueno. If it does well, McDonald's has actually, this has really kind of been sideways most of the year.
Yes.
This has really kind of been dancing around 300. I had a trade on this earlier this year that just didn't work out because we got no carry through.
All I'm saying is it seems like for McDonald's specifically, the McRib still worked out for an upside trade. I mean,
it seems to always work out. I tell you what, the McRib has like a cult-like following for it. I don't get it, but it's got like a cult-like following for it.
Yeah, you got like 3 to 4% out of the McRib. So that's not a bad trade. That's not a bad trade.
INHD. Wow. Again, so another impulse move to the high after kind of shaking some folks here. Just shy of $2, but man, 190 and change.
So it looks to me like 225 is the next big resistance area. Sure, you'll probably get some resistance at $2 at the psych level, but you look at the daily chart. To me, I think 225 is going to be a spot worth watching for resistance.
Zach says, I almost vomited when I tried the McRib. Zach, your European palate doesn't know what to do with the McRib. Okay. And I actually mean that not as an insult. That's probably what it is. That's rather extreme.
I'd rather just smoke a pork shoulder and make my own.
Yeah. Just real food always better. Always the better choice, Zach, though. That's funny. I almost vomited. It's like my reaction when I saw beets for the first time and borscht. Oh my God. So that's a funny, really quick. We're running out of time here, but real quick, I've never had borscht in my life before.
Wow.
And I worked at a catering company, right? And one of the things for the catering companies, they also did parties inside, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, etc., holiday parties where you had to dress up in a tux. And if you did that, you got a significant pay increase. So I was on that track from the beginning, and those parties were fun. But one day, it was some party. We had a borscht station, and I came around the corner, and they had these hot tubs of borscht, and I thought I was going to buy. I hate beets so much that when I smelled all of that, I was like, I can't work in this room. I have to go to a different room. And I'm like 16, 17 at the time, so like, okay, go somewhere else. But man, oh man, that was my first experience. I have never forgot it. I'm sorry if there are folks out there that really like this. My American palate was not ready for borscht. Period. Man, oh man.
I know there's a really good joke in there. I don't think it's appropriate to say.
Probably not.
Anyway, I am about to have to get off here. Make way for the next
Yeah, so just looking at the schedule here, 3 minutes. We've got Trader Bacon coming up. I'm going to send you over there. Have fun this week. Be careful. Don't get too overly excited here. I'm hoping for a better day tomorrow in terms of some of the movers or maybe some of these turkey crack plays, but should kind of be a low volume week here this week. So we'll see.
Crim Biscuit mentioning that FOXX was a great dip buy.
Add sour cream to it. Maybe that'll save it, but I'll let you do that.
Hey, no problem. Deep dive. Thanks for coming in. Yeah, I still do the same thing. Don't.
Yeah, I got it.
Come back and maybe I'll get your name right tomorrow.
Oh, probably not. We'll come up with another pet nickname for you as well. So.
I'm just going to take one last look at some of these
movers. I was going to say, we'll look around here one more time, then we'll wrap it up for the day.
Well, Gels did go back up to the 125 area and got rejected there again. So, hey, 125 was the level. Maybe later on today they can break through it, but I wouldn't hold my breath for any of these names. CJet, this never really got above the trend line, even though it did make some prints. It is getting support from the 65 EMA right now. Maybe now is the time for it to finally make its move through the trend line and the VWAP again. EPSM hasn't really done a whole lot following the move up to the 460s. ENLV, this is getting support from the 65 EMA, but seems like the good move is over. Could be some more downside in that one as well. Oscar Health about to lose VWAP as well.
All right. December rate cut coming. Goldman telling investors to buy the dip. That's good insight at EKS. We'll see. The CME watch tool says so. 13 closing words for the group.
Well, folks, hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. If you're not going to be joining us this week, it is going to be a little bit more of an illiquid market. That's fine because it can give us some pretty liquid moves that we can use for trading. So we'll see if we get it tomorrow. Until then, hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your day. Take care. Goodbye.
All right, 13, really good stuff here on a Victory Monday. 13, we'll check in with him on happy hour. He's going to be running happy hour for it because I'm not going to make all of it here. Folks, it was a good start to a holiday truncated week. Look forward to doing some more of this with you tomorrow. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. Have a great rest of your Monday. We'll catch